Yeah, there's a bit of fog in the air over Lake Okeechobee this morning. I'll tell you what, there's some fog someplace else too. The crystal ball's looking kind of foggy this morning. And why is that? Well, let me just throw out a couple of numbers. 15 and 30. 15 one day, 30 the next. That's what makes the final outcome hard to predict here on the Big O.
Oh, stay on there!
Giant.
Another big and feet in the flow. Yeah. Yeah, boys.
Get in the boat, big daddy. You make a man.
It's the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Oh man, you know it's always good to fish on Sunday, and I mean just to be here and be part of these guys right here is good. And as long as I beat that guy right there, I'll be all right. He's sitting there laughing at me, and I can't help but make a comment. But anyway, yes, it's going to be a good day, regardless of how it lays out. You know, we'll catch all we can catch, and hopefully I catch enough. But if I don't, I had a good week.
Well, that's third place, Cliff Prince. That's his thoughts to them. Kind of an anxiety-filled day, I'm sure, for all of these guys, but in a good way. They'd rather be here than any place else on earth. Tommy Sanders here with Davey Height. We got our guys off and running this morning. Let's take a look at that top 12, and I want to get your thoughts on what may or may not happen today.
Well, the big thing that I think you need to remember is anybody in that top 12 can win this thing. We're at Lake Okeechobee. Nobody's out of it. A lot of times we only have like 5 or 6 guys that really have a legitimate chance to take over the lead. But Bobby Lane can certainly catch a big bag of fish in Florida. And, you know, right on up the list, every single one of those guys have a chance. Timmy did catch a fish late yesterday that helped him out, but still only 15 pounds. He needs to do better than that today.
Oh, absolutely. But 15 pounds one day. Timmy Horton's also got a 30-pound plus limit on his resume this time around at Lake Okeechobee. That's what makes it so complicated. Like you say, Bobby Lane could catch 35 today. That's certainly not outside the realm of possibility. So we're going to have a hard. You're crazy to make a prediction, but here's the one thing that kind of underscores it all. Timmy Horton is a great closer. Now that's something you have to factor into the thing,
that's
right?
proven. That certainly is proven. And yesterday he lost a couple fisher. He would probably been up there close to 25, you know, and it would have really been out of reach for quite a few guys. But he lost a fish or two yesterday. He didn't lose a single fish. You know, put on a show with the 31 pounds and, you know, never lost a fish. That's going to happen every once in a while when you're flipping that heavy cover. But yesterday it caught up with him just a little bit. But you're exactly right. He's proven to be a great closer. He's won several tournaments by 13+ pounds.
His numbers bear it out, that's for sure. We saw that shot of the fog over the launch at Okeechobee City this morning. You know, fog's a definite problem. We're not technically under a fog delay, but still you have to be careful, right? You have to take certain precautions.
You're right, Tommy. The fog is the most dangerous thing I've ever had to deal with in all my years of professional fishing. We've got maps, we've got sonar, we've got all those things, but we don't have radar. And even if we did, it doesn't pick up a floating log or that sort of thing. You have to be careful around fog. So anytime Trip Weldon delays the field because of fog, I totally agree with it. Even if you have to sit on the bank for hours, you just have to do that. But I think what they're doing today, Trip let them go with a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. Where they're launching at Okeechobee City, they're in the Kissimmee River. And it's more fog there because that water's colder coming out of that river. So they go 30 miles an hour out to the lake, and then they can go single file at wide open throttle.
We got tournament director Trip Weldon explaining just that rule to these anglers. This was a little bit earlier this morning.
Foggy all the way to the last markers, you know, where you go out into the lake.
May put a speed limit on cutting through it.
Out to the bridge, 30 miles per hour, Tim, you're leading this parade. If you're turning right, it's foggy. It's all blowing off this north shore. The lake is open. So if you're turning right and you want to run out in the lake, you can go wide open. But if you're running that north shore, guys, you need to stay down off of it. Be safe. Keep it 30 miles an hour. You need to keep it 30 miles an hour. But if you go out in the lake's clear.
Once we get past the poles, we can.
Once you get if you turn right, you need don't open it up because it's thick.
Okay.
Or go out in the lake. I know a lot of you turn right. I assume I ain't been out here in 5 years.
Right.
You can go out in the lake and come back.
Yeah, right. You can go around Kings Bar.
So the lake is good and clear.
Once we get past the poles, we can.
You get past the
Drive
poles,
safe.
don't hang a right and go wide open.
Can you keep it 30 so that we're all the same?
Keep it 30.
If we go through the narrow cut, we'll keep it 30.
Keep it 30. But I think you can run out into the lake.
If we run around King's Bar, we can go wide open.
Yeah.
Okay,
If it's clear.
got it.
But be safe, keep your running lights on. Have your marshals looking, you know, ahead of you or behind you. Maybe sit them down where you can look behind you and you looking in front of you.
Already cleaning up.
Any
Yeah.
questions? All right, go get in your boats. We're going to start at 7 o'clock. We're going to do the anthem here in a minute. Y'all be safe. 3 o'clock check-in.
All right, Trip unambiguously laying it out for them what they got to do today.
Yeah, unambiguously is exactly right. Bobby Lane want to know exactly when he can go wide open throttle, I promise you. He wanted to be clear.
We look at these guys, and you can tell what's going through their minds. Says, that guy over there better obey the speed limit.
Absolutely.
He's the one you're looking for.
He's going to do 31, I know it.
So keep your eye on him. Absolutely right there. Hey, Dave Mercer's out there. Get those guys off and running this morning as he always does. In fact, we heard some audio of him before we came on the air, and I was wishing we could punch him up because it's such a great show, Dave. Anybody who's never been to a takeoff with you in charge of it, I mean, you bring the material. You work on that project each and every morning, and we appreciate it.
Oh, tirelessly,
Yes.
Tommy. I mean, generally get up at about 2 a.m. and start rehearsing and warming, doing vocal exercises, something like that. We had a bizarre takeoff today, guys. I mean, one of the most bizarre things is right here in my hand. And I don't know how I'm going to cross the border with this, but this right here is one of our coworkers got scalped. This is Thomas Allen, Bassmaster writer, foolishly made a bet with Dave Lefebvre that if he made the top 12, he would let him shave his hideous beard. And Dave Lefebvre, before takeoff today, was a barber and basically, shaved Thomas Allen's beard. I got to be honest, the smell was not enjoyable, guys. But Thomas Allen went, in just a few short seconds, he went from looking like a lumberjack, a homeless lumberjack, to used vacuum salesman. I don't know if we have any footage of how it ended up, but it was very bizarre.
From a homeless lumberjack to a used vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner, not just a vacuum cleaner.
That is the perfect analogy. Thomas Allen clearly cannot win with you, Dave Mercer, so why he should just move on with his life. Now, I tell you what, he's looking pretty sharp right there. He looks kind of like Wade Boggs now that I look at him.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
That's a Hall of Famer we're talking about there, and Thomas Allen certainly up in our Hall of Fame. All the great coverage that comes off the lake during the course of a week on Bassmaster.com and in between tournaments as well. Dave, I want your thoughts on today, how volatile this really is. Or do you think it's cut and dried, what the outcome's going to be?
I don't think it can ever be cut and dry when you're in the state of Florida, and obviously when you're on Lake Okeechobee. But I do believe that, in this situation, and you've experienced it, both you guys have experienced it on different occasions, whether it's covering the event or actually being in that situation, when you have a leader that has such a big lead like Timmy Horton. I mean, the most amazing thing about yesterday's weigh-in, if you ask me, is his weight cut in half from what he weighed in the day before. Generally, as an angler, you're coming in thinking, wow, I just blew it. But his margin of lead did not change very much. He had an 8-pound lead going into day 3, and he's got an 8-pound lead going into Championship Sunday. So it's kind of one of those deals where almost our entire top 12 is pretty relaxed. They know Timmy's got to open the door for them to have a chance. But if Timmy weighs in 15 pounds again, there is definitely going to be a chance. I mean, Timmy Horton knows he's got to get that 20 pounds to feel comfortable in the situation he's in. And even then, I mean, he's not mathematically safe. But, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting thing. I mean, if we get Timmy Horton from day number 2, this thing is over. If he starts off like he did yesterday, it is going to be a very, very interesting day. I asked Timmy about that fish yesterday, as we called it on the stage, the thrill of victory and the agony of angling. And he said to me, he watched that fish 5-6 times. He said he watched that fish catch to see where he was wrong. And he said, I know I grabbed the line too early. He says, I probably shouldn't have done that. But he said, when you're in a situation, it's just, that fish is coming to you. And I think what caught Timmy off, if you look at every single fish, and it'd be pretty neat to break down the footage. If you look at all the fish he was catching up to that point, he basically had to go in after them. Well, that fish came out really quick. It came right at the boat, and I think that caught him off guard, and he made a quick decision. And in retrospect, it's easy to say, hey, he shouldn't have grabbed the line. But, I mean, the dude is leading this tournament by 8 pounds, so nobody on earth should say he shouldn't do something, obviously. But Timmy Horton has already absorbed what happened yesterday. He said he was shocked how much that fish rattled him. He was shocked how nervous he was yesterday. But he said he's feeling very calm, and he's ready to get this done here today.
Well, one reason, probably when he talked to you, he could have been in a worse mood. He caught a big one at the end of his day yesterday. Also true for third place Cliff Prince as well. And guys like that, when they come up on the stage, do you get the feeling that they have renewed confidence that maybe something's been restored to them, or do they feel like, man, I just barely escaped the noose today?
I honestly believe that Cliff Prince is a very scary guy to watch here today. I mean, we all saw what happened on the St. Johns River last year. Let's be honest. Cliff Prince, if it wasn't for a miscue on day number one, would have walked away with that tournament. I mean, he got to fish till like 9:30 on day number one and then could not fish any further and made a triumphant comeback. He is very lethal in this state. He's a two-time Classic qualifier, and he told me yesterday off the stage, he says, I think I have fish coming to me. He said, I think it could be lights out there today. So that is a scary thing if you're Tim Horton. Ott, in the other hand, being in second place, I mean, not to jump over Ott, and we started calling him because of the last 6 events. I mean, I said it was almost even too cheesy for me to use as a line, but then I realized I don't have any standards. And we started calling him Hot Defoe because in the last 6 Bassmaster events, there is no hotter angler on the planet. But Ott's situation, you have to remember, on day one, he literally thought there was a very high potential of him weighing in 9 pounds. Obviously, he weighed in 31 pounds, 3 ounces, and since then has basically stick handles through this tournament. But I said to him this morning, I said, are you confident that now, 15 pounds is a bad day and anything plus is that? He's like, literally, I don't know. He says, I'm in a unique situation here. He said, this is not where I expected to be in this tournament. So Ott Defoe making the best out of very little from pre-fish, but watch out for Prince. And then as Davey called him, you said you need to cue up the Darth Vader music for Hackney, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but he was doing some Darth Vader breathing into the camera this morning.
We did not catch that. I hope somebody rolled tape on that. I would like to see that a little bit later. Well, let's talk about Hackney. As Dave, I know you watched some of the show yesterday. You have a chance to watch from time to time. We had 2 basic philosophies that sort of emerged among the guys, our Rapala 5 Live that we're covering. 2 guys, Dean Rojas, Timmy Horton, who are absolutely, or for the most part, 90% sticking to what they had done, what had got them there. We had Ott Defoe and Stephen Brown doing, like you say, whatever it takes, maybe sort of expanding their knowledge of what's going on the lake there. Which one of those 2 styles do you think Greg Hackney's been doing, and which style do you think is going to prevail at the end of the day?
I mean, if Timmy doesn't win it, let's remove Timmy from the equation. If anyone is to come back in the entire top 12, it's Okeechobee. Anybody can do it. We all know that. But if I'm a betting man, I'm putting all my money on Cliff Prince or Greg Hackney. Not that I'm discounting Ott, but this is a Hackney tournament. I mean, going into this event, you expected Hackney to be in the mix. And Hackney, he knows. I mean, yesterday he got his first glimpse of kind of a better day. Up till that point, on day 2 weigh-in, I called him, I said, you're a sneaky top 10 guy, because he hasn't had that big day like so many of our anglers. 1 and 2 have both weighed in 30-pound bags. And Hackney, I think he had 18 on day 1, 20 on day 2, and then a little more yesterday. Hackney's approach is definitely worth watching here today. I mean, like I said, Prince and Hackney are my dark horses. If anyone can catch Timmy Horton, it's definitely those guys, in my opinion.
Still, we got the possibility of a real, somebody dropping a bomb, a 35-pound bag on Okeechobee. And, given the weather conditions and your gut feeling about the possibility of something like that happening today, Dave?
It's possible. It depends what happens with the wind. Right now, I'm looking at it. There's very, very little wind out here. Thankfully, we got a little bit of wind to clear the fog, or we'd still be hanging out here. But I think that's going to be a big factor in it. If we can get the right conditions where these guys can really fish and pick apart their areas, there's going to be a lot less pressure on their areas, because we've only got 12 guys out there. So I think you could have a monster bag. And, we almost had, we've talked about all the 30s, but if you look at our day 2 mover, Jesse Tecarante, he told me backstage, he said, I lost a 6 and an 8 that day. He believed he could have had 40 pounds. So we've seen it happen every single day. We've seen, anglers on day 1, I think Jesse was in 79th position, and he almost made our 12 cut. So if we've seen already this week, mathematically, anglers make jumps like that, nobody can discount anyone in our top 12, and especially when you look at number 12 being Bobby Lane.
Yeah, Bobby Lane. We were talking about that before we came on. Dave, thank you so much. You've been working hard for an hour plus already today. We're going to take a breather there, maybe have a bagel or something. We'll see you a little bit later. I don't know if we're going back to Gatorama, but I know it's going to be good. Dave Mercer out there, walking the walk.
Hanging out by the palm trees.
The palm tree. 5 Live, our Rapala 5 Live, the guys we're covering today. Well, you've already seen our top 12, but let's take a closer look at those 5 we have cameras with out there in the water on Okeechobee. We'll start with 5th place, Stephen Browning.
Stephen Browning's one of the guys we've talked about. He's really mixed it up according to the weather conditions. Caught a lot of his fish on a vibrating jig, and then a few yesterday with a spinning rod in his hand. Can't count him out, that's for sure.
Well, the guy that Mercer says he's watching very hard, so it's a lot of other people. Greg Hackney, he's the Darth Vader out there today.
He definitely is a Darth Vader today. Greg's somebody that everyone coming in this tournament thought could be a player, and he's slowly but surely creeped his way up. You better watch him today.
Yeah, and according to Dave, it could be Hackney's tournament, or very well could be this guy's tournament really set up for him.
I've been able to talk to Cliff every afternoon after he weighed in, and he said he literally caught that fish that he's holding up now on his very last flip, and he said, I thought they were coming to me late. I said, don't wait quite so late today.
Who's had the biggest one of the the biggest finger of the tournament? That guy right there, Adifo, and who's to say he can't come back with 31, 32, 33 pounds on this day? It's just a matter of intersecting with the big one.
Ott's done it already this week, a 31-pound stringer. If he can do it today, I think he'll win.
Got a lot of ways to do it. One way for this guy, he's been sticking with the same thing all week long, and Tim Horton has managed to stay on top of this thing despite a trying day yesterday.
You can't count him out. He's got a lead. He's got a big lead, and he is known to be a closer.
Take a look at Timmy Horton, his action from yesterday, and of course the big one. This was our that's our power pole replay of the day for sure. And it was again and again because it was a turning point in this tournament. Certainly set the tone for this day. A big one, 9-pounder by his estimation, on the line, and this happened.
You know, Timmy has had a big bite, his first bite every single morning. That's what I talked about yesterday a little bit. We want to be on him when he gets his first bite today. The first 2 days, an 8-pounder, and yesterday a 9-pounder. Big fish. Not getting as many bites as a lot of those other guys, but he's catching big fish.
Add a 5-pounder to the fish that got off yesterday for Timmy Horton. Certainly would have, as everyone says, a much more formidable lead coming into this day. If all of those had come in, Timmy Horton just kind of plodding his way through the day. Now, the catch we're about to see, though, is the one we did not get to see because we had to sign off the air. This was a last-minute deal, a Hail Mary from Timmy Horton, and that was meaningful.
That was huge. Not quite like Cliff Prince, the very last flip, but almost the last flip of the day. Timmy caught this fish that just really saved his day. 15 pounds was a lot better than coming in with 10 pounds.
Absolutely. Could have been a total wipeout. You mentioned the Cliff Prince catch. We haven't seen that yet. And this really was the last cast of the day.
He told me last night he had already told his cameraman, I'm going to make one more flip and we've got to go in or I'll be late.
Yes! Yes! Give me some flat. Hell yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Palaka, boy.
Yeah, there we go.
At the last minute, son. Come on with that. Look at that coal hammer.
Yeah, look at that coal.
Look at that coal hammer.
Absolutely.
Get the heck out of here, dude.
That man is full of adrenaline right now.
It doesn't get any better than that.
My
Catch a big one on your last cast.
That's a magic moment he will never forget. Our Humminbird Lay of the Lake. Well, we've looked at it all week long. This big, huge inland sea, biggest freshwater lake totally within the boundaries of the United States, about half the size of one of our states, the state of Rhode Island. Lake Okeechobee is vast. The fishable areas, the productive areas, Davey, are not quite as vast.
They're not. The lake really fishes small for the size overall, and there's no one in the top 12 that's really in a secret area. I talked to Cliff Chris Lane last night, and he said it's still like looking for a needle in a haystack. Even though they're in these areas that traditionally catch fish, you've got to dissect every single area. The monkey box is the most popular, and more of our top 12 have been fishing in that monkey box area. But we got guys on up north of there. Kings Bar, out the Foe is fishing a lot right around there. I think Cliff Prince has been there. A lot of big fish being caught in that Kings Bar area. And then Timmy and Dean Rojas down on the South Bay area, away from these other guys. And Greg Hackney, the guy you got to keep your eye on all week, he's kind of been by himself close to Clewiston.
All right, Greg Hackney by himself, always something that concerns the rest of the anglers, and well, it should. You think about how shallow this lake is. It's only 9 feet deep on average. Take a dinner plate, fill it with water, kind of blow on it gently. You can see the effect it has on this place, and that wind can really wreck a fishing place in short order.
The forecast has changed back and forth over the last 24 hours. Yesterday, like midday, they were saying that the wind was going to gust up to 21 miles an hour. Today, the forecast is saying 10 miles an hour. It'll mean everything if the wind blows 20 rather than 10.
Well, you can see it's already blowing better today than it was yesterday by a wide margin. This is Ot Defo Live.
That's a big one.
Good one.
He smoked it. Ain't big, but good chunk to start with. Nothing else is a big, that's for sure. I might need to speed it up a little bit.
Told you guys about that Terminator frog earlier in the week. First fish catch we see on Sunday is with that frog. It's pretty special, especially when it's in Ot Defoe's hand.
Dave Lefebvre was first on the board. He's got 2 about that size.
Nothing like a frog bite early in the morning on Sunday.
Gosh,
Nothing like it.
That may be the earliest fish we've seen, because these guys were, as I understand it, a few minutes later getting to their spots today. And of course the wind's going to make a difference too.
Quick, but I mean, he didn't play around with it.
Cliff is starting not far from Ot. That northern end around the Kings Bar area, there's a shad spawn going on, and these guys are trying to capitalize on that. If you notice later in the day, you'll see those guys back in those grassy areas looking for spawners. Cliff and Ot both are doing that, unlike some of the others. But to start the morning, those shad are really, really active. They're up around those edges, and they're using frogs and topwater, swimming jigs, some just trying to capitalize on that shad spawn. That shad spawn isn't even happening because it's almost like 2 different lakes where Timmy Horton and Dean Rojas are. More pre-spawn and spawning fish. I think a lot of the big fish, probably all of the big fish that Timmy is catching, are actually spawning, moved up to spawn. Unlike where these guys are, that's a really good early morning topwater frog, swim jig bite. And anything Cliff catches here is a bonus, because he thinks his best opportunity to really win this thing is midday until the last second, literally like yesterday.
That really was. I mean, you read the...
Well, this wasn't where I originally planned on starting, but I had caught some fish here in practice, and it's just been covered up the last couple of days, and there wasn't anybody here today, so I figured I'd stop here and just see what was happening, see if I could catch a couple fish out here early. I hadn't stopped here early, so like I say, it was just a gut instinct that told me to stop here and just see what happens. We're gonna give it a few minutes, and if it don't happen here, we're gonna leave. So y'all stay tuned.
Well, we're gonna stay tuned, all right. You're talking about those interviews yesterday. He had his cameraman said, "Get strapped in, put your stuff away, and I'm gonna make one more cast, and we are out of here." That was literally the last little pitch into the...
I talked about yesterday that we keep an eye on him late. After the camera leaves him, he might catch a big fish. And when he told me he caught it after he told his cameraman we're leaving, I said, you don't need to quite make it that dramatic tomorrow. Go ahead and catch it at least like 30 seconds before then. The interesting thing about fishing the shad spawn like this early in the morning, those shad move around during the night, and one morning they'll be on one point or one patch of grass, and the next day they might be a quarter mile away. But if you can find them early in the morning, there's always groups of bass that follow those schools of shad around when they're spawning.
It's just nice to get your line stretched first thing in the morning,
yeah.
isn't it? I mean, when you get them 2 or 3 hours, you hadn't had a bite.
Absolutely, especially when you know that you really are going to catch some good fish in the afternoon. Everything in the morning for Ott and for Cliff, it's just a bonus. It's just a bonus, and it's a different mindset. Timmy's going down thinking, I might not get a bite for an hour, but for 3 days in a row, it's been 8+.
Sure.
So just a different mindset. It's worked real good so far for Timmy, but he got some guys, a really good group of guys trying to hunt him down today.
Getting our guys situated, getting our cameras up and running takes them a while to connect to all the terrestrial devices they need to connect to in order to get that signal to us live. And Steve Browning's up and going now. Good to see that. We've been so lucky this week, seeing so much.
And he's been catching fish early in the morning. He's been catching them all day. I guess he and Ott have been the most consistent, just catching fish throughout the day, using different baits. Yesterday was the first day that Browning had fished the spinning rod and the lighter line when it calmed down, and I think it gave him a lot of confidence going into today to maybe pick that up a little sooner and be able to get some bites no matter what the wind does, because he's going to throw that vibrating jig if the wind's blowing, but I really think he's got a lot of confidence when he found his little finesse technique yesterday.
Just like in real life, it's fun hanging out in the boat with Browning.
Oh, yeah.
He enjoys fishing, and he makes it fun for whoever's in the boat with him.
We learned a few new words and terms yesterday. Jackwagon and...
Jackwagon. What was the other one, though?
Well, he was calling a fish, what was that? Ronnie, you got the
Jiminy
memory
Crickets. Jiminy Crickets.
Jiminy Crickets.
Jiminy Crickets. I sure missed out on one of my important duties this morning with the delay in the stop and start this morning. We got to introduce the other important studio components we have in place here. Mike Sucon, the Such. Ronnie Moore, Ron Moore, the Godfather. Hey, they're in place. We've heard from them, but we haven't seen them yet. We will see them. Plenty. We got 5 hours and 40 minutes left to go.
It's sure nice to be out there on Sunday when you don't have...
Bass, I need to get off to a good start this morning.
Only got 11 competitors out there instead of 109
Just a couple of big ones. Man, just a big bite or a couple of good 4 or 5 pounders would be a blessing this morning. Sure would make my day go a whole lot better. Come on now. Get down in that grass.
Looks like Dave Lefebvre's got 3 fish in the boat. So other than Ott Defoe's 1 fish on live that we've seen, the only other competitor to land a fish is Lefebvre, and he's starting out strong.
Wow.
Building momentum straight from the start.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that came from back in the pack. We were talking about that before we came on today, right?
Where was he day one? About 100th?
100th place with
100th
7
place.
pounds, 7 ounces.
That's incredible.
Jumped to 44th, and now he's top 10.
Ott's hooked up again.
I don't know if it's the same one that missed it the first time or another one. Look at how he ate that frog, though. See, some of them, man, once they bite it, they'll eat it good. Other times they just miss it altogether. When they're doing that shad spawn stuff, man, they get so wound up when they bite. It seems like they're just trying to injure those shad, and then they'll pick them off as they're fluttering down. So, you know, it can be hard to get them to eat your bait. Something without a treble hook, you know, something that they really gotta eat to catch them all.
Defoe, 2 fish in the boat right now. We're off to a good start here today. Final day, Lake Okeechobee, down to 12 guys. One of them will hold the trophy. grab the 100 grand at the end of this day. We got a lot of storylines to play out before we get things settled out here today. It should be a whole lot of fun to watch. Everyone's been looking forward to this day. What's going to happen? We have no idea, and that's the good part of it. We'll be right back.
The ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee is brought to you by Berkley, Hook, Humminbird, Mercury, Minn Kota, and by Nitro Boats. Continually proven on the tournament trail and with Skeeter owners everywhere with 14 consecutive NMMA CSI Consumer Satisfaction Awards. Our competition doesn't even come close. Right now, buy, save, fish with up to $1,500 in instant rebates through March 31st, including the newly redesigned limited edition FX series. Now is the best time to buy, save, fish. Skeeter.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Is this being in the moment? Is this hanging out? And is this really playing with your kid? Don't stop what you're doing to capture what you're doing. Keep running, keep playing, keep dancing. Just keep doing. GoPro, start recording.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Opening hour of fishing on a very, very important day. Final day of any Bassmaster Elite Series event is important because that's championship day. You've got to get it done and settle for second, third, fourth, whatever. There's our TH Marine weather forecast for today. Let's take a look at that. And baby, a little bit cooler today than it was yesterday.
Most guys look at 78 degrees. I guarantee the top 12, we're looking at the bottom stat there. Winds gust northeast, 21 miles per hour. It will definitely change this lake. It all depends on what time it does that, if it truly does that, if it has more easterly direction or more northerly direction. If it's got a lot of east in it, Timmy and Dean Rojas will be fine. If it comes more out of the north, it could really, really hurt their area. Not going to hurt Defoe.
No.
Boy, he's been catching them every single morning on his frog.
Thing about those weather forecasts, you can absolutely rely on them until they change them.
Yeah.
20 minutes from
So,
now.
you know, some places the wind will affect you more than others, but this is one of the places in the whole country that it will make or break you. It creates so much current. We've talked about that a little bit. People that haven't been watching with us on the previous days have just joined us today. It creates current at Lake Okeechobee. It dirties water. It cleans water. It creates ambush points, from the current going around these reed patches these guys are fishing, it does a lot of different things.
A lot of lakes I like a good breeze. I don't in Florida. It's just so hard to fish in down here. There's nothing to, doesn't hit the bank. You know, you're not ever fishing the bank really. And just out in all this vegetation makes it so hard to cast. Get your bait where you want it. One place where wind is really not your friend is Florida.
Wind is not your friend.
Contrary to who?
Contrary to KVD.
Absolutely.
KVD's a winder though. The wind helps the guys that like to wind a lot, moving baits. Well, we've seen Ott doing a little bit of all of it this week, just adjusting to it. I think he's very similar to Cliff Prince, hopes that he can catch his bigger fish in the afternoon when he can get up there in those backwater areas where the water is clear and those fish are moving up the spawn.
One thing I think we can count on today is clear skies. I don't anticipate any clouds coming through here, maybe just a puffy cloud or two.
We're not on Timmy yet. He's probably just now getting to his area, maybe not even quite there yet. But I certainly want to, I'm eager to. One of the first things I thought about this morning, I hope we're on Timmy when he gets that first bite. It's absolutely incredible to be fishing a Bassmaster Elite tournament, and the first 3 days of the tournament, your first bite is 8+. That doesn't happen very often, I promise you. And we've been able to see 2 of the days.
Yeah.
Hopefully today.
Haven't seen any of Greg Hackney. Ronnie Moore, any idea when he caught his fish during yesterday or any of his days that he's been fishing? Greg Hackney?
Yesterday, it's really that midday period, you know, that 9 to noon that we were talking about, you know, that it's really heightened up the fish catches on day 1 and day 2 with everyone, and I think Hackney was among that group when he started charging.
He brushed it, but he didn't get it. It's weird how they bite it, like they come at it from the side a lot of times. They don't just come up and suck it under.
I think fishing a frog, the little story I told you about George, the big bass in the aquarium, sometimes they don't necessarily want to eat that frog. They just not going to have a live frog around their nest.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to kill it or get it away. When they really want to eat it, they'll keep coming back, and you can't hardly get it away from them. But when they just blow up, and I know everybody out there that's fished frogs has had this to happen, they just explode and don't come back. They just don't want that frog around. A lot of times garden fry. Probably a lot of what's going on here.
They're just trying to throw it out the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get away from me. And my little babies, so many times it's a male, a 2 or 3 pound male up there garden fry. With a shad spawn, you typically, they coincide. When you got a shad spawn going on, you almost always got some male bass garden fry. The first day he caught Ott caught one of his 8 pound, 6 ounce bass on a frog. I would love to see that live. Love to see it. It's certainly fun watching Timmy catch 8 pounders flipping, but it'd be a little more fun.
Oh my gosh.
See one eat a frog, no matter who's casting it. I'm surprised Stephen hadn't caught us a fish yet. He's been catching some fish early, and the conditions are good. He don't have near the traffic around him.
Yeah.
A couple swirling at it right there, look like. Oh, that wind.
It all depends on what you're throwing, whether you want the wind. Obviously, you don't want it to dirty your water up in Florida. We've talked about that quite a bit. But what you think you can catch your bigger fish on is what you're throwing. I caught an 8-pounder on his frog the first day. So he's got a lot of confidence in that bait. You really can adjust the bait that you're using according to the wind. Obviously, the ripple on the water is not what you want for a frog. It's not easy for those fish to locate it, and they swirl at it and miss it some. You want calm water for the top water fishing early in the morning. Steven's already switched to his using some soft plastics, not throwing the vibrating jig as much.
God, probably gonna have to use a little bit bigger weight just where you can be able to feel what's going on.
I love these shots where we can see the rod. I can learn so much when I can see these guys' rod. Look at the way Ott's working that frog so fast. And Steven just being real slow and methodical with soft plastics. Ott's caught a few. He's excited, and Steven's trying to get that first bite.
That's right. He's trying to wait him out.
One little magic stretch. I mean, that's what we're hoping to find today. Find that stretch. Got the better quality. You know, I've caught a lot of fish in the last 3 days, but realistically, I've only had like probably 9 really good bites. You know, those 4 pound plus. So, you know, that's the size that you need to fill your limit out. You don't need those 1 3/4, 2 pounders, you know, to fill your limits out. You need those 4 pounders to be filling the limit out. A good jackwagon right there. You got about 1/4 mile that way, and you got 1/4 mile this way. I don't. Folks kill me, man. I mean, it's just.
He's less than a cast away from him, just ran right by him.
Right by him. Got some Greg Hackney now, the bottom left right there. Lift prints on the right.
They run up there the first day when they would come through like that, I'd take my chatterbait and run it around through where they just ran through and kind of break. Maybe that's what they were trying to do, get me going.
It's a good positive spin to put on somebody running 30 yards from your boat while you're fishing, and they got a pretty good little area there between them and the shoreline. They could have ran by. Maybe they just wanted to be on TV. They wanted to be on Bass Live.
That's what it is. Everybody wants to be on Bass Live.
If we were to get a bite, I'd be hoping everybody would run that close to us. You know? I mean, it's like, come on, next.
That's a good positive way to look at it. And I've seen this happen before. You can have a boat run close to you and it stir the bait fish and actually help you catch a fish. So that's what he's trying to do. He actually trolling motored over there and making some casts right where those boats ran by. There's Darth Vader.
Yep.
That's some fishy looking stuff there. And I know Hackney's in his wheelhouse right now. He's feeling real good probably.
This looks a lot more like everything we've covered
here.
in
We just got here and went to fishing. It took about 15 minutes longer this morning than it has been. As you can tell by the way my little grass patch here is blowing around, it's got to be blowing 20. It's funny, it was blowing 3 when we left, and by the time we got just to the mouth of the river, it was blowing 10, and middle ways 15, and I mean, it's hammering now. So I really need to get it done as quick as possible today so we don't have to push on the way back this afternoon, because I don't even know this afternoon that I'll be able to go back the same way that I came. It's not going to be fun. This wind on these big lakes takes the fun out of it. You know, we just got here. I've only made maybe 10 or 15 casts, so I don't know yet. The watercolor's the same. It hasn't had a chance to, to dirty. This area we're in right now is pretty protected, from the main lake. So, but I wasn't planning on staying here all day. I was going to fish here for a few hours this morning, and then go to another area. So I don't, it's just hard to tell. I mean, you're dealing with miles and miles of 2 foot of water. You get these big winds, it does have an effect. This stuff's moving, it's been still. So it just takes us a little while to tell. I'll know pretty quick.
Couple things to touch on, he mentioned there.
I just don't think this area that we're in right now, I fished it real hard for 2 days, and I just don't think I can catch, quite what I need out of it today. I don't, I say that unless some new fish moved in, I can't really tell. Half the fish I'm catching are spawned out, and the other half are still spawning, so. Yeah, all these real protected places today, there'll be a lot of boats, because, they can't fish out there either. And our bunch is more apt to fish in really bad conditions out of necessity than people fun fishing. People fun fishing, they don't want it to be work, they want it to be fun.
Couple things to touch on that Hackney talked about there. If you've never been to Lake Okeechobee, he mentioned I might not be able to go back the same way I came here, and you think, what is he talking about? When the wind blows 20 miles an hour, you don't want to go across Lake Okeechobee. It gets really, really rough. Exactly what he described happened to him this morning has happened to me there. You take off from that northern end, the wind's blowing 3 to 5 miles an hour. It's just a little ripple, exactly where you see Ott Defoe at. You get 5 miles out in the lake, you think, boy, it's getting pretty choppy and the wind's picking up. You get halfway across the lake, it's very, very rough, and the wind's blowing 15, 20 miles an hour. I've had it happen exactly like that. What you'll do if it's that rough, or probably rougher this afternoon, you run around the rim canal, the rim ditch. You can stay out of the main lake. It's probably 10 miles farther going back that way, but a lot calmer. You can run wide open throttle. Another thing he mentioned about this stuff moving around, I don't think he wants that. The weather is the weather, you have to deal with it, but flipping back in that thick stuff is hard enough the way he's flipping over and down in those things, but when you gotta have your bait go between moving targets, it makes it a lot tougher. That was almost set the hook there, it looked like. Maybe he was pulling out of those reeds. This is the first time we've seen anybody really committed to fishing in this thicker stuff like we saw in 2012.
Not the isolated or seemingly isolated stuff a little off of the main path.
And the difference is...
No, it feels like a cold front. I don't really know if it is or not. I don't really... I know we got one at my house, it's really cooled off there the last few days. So I guess maybe this is it coming on over this way.
The difference in the cover is because Hackney is back against, I talked about a wall, an outside wall, an inside wall, a hard line. He's on the inside where the vegetation has been more protected. That outside stuff, when the water level changes and you have some storms, it gets torn up and it'll go from being really thick like it was in 2012. In a year's time, it'll get sparse, and if the water gets low, it can grow up even thicker, but it changes more from year to year than this back wall or inside wall does. He's inside, and Timmy is in more than most guys fished when we were here before, but not as far back as it looks like Greg Hackney is. The locals, the people in Florida would call it your hard line, inside hard line.
Inside hard lines. Kind of expect a river fishing guy to look for more stable, more water that doesn't change so much.
The reason to be concerned if you're the leader about Greg Hackney, number one, he's a great fisherman, and he's known to be great with a flipping stick in his hand and braided line around vegetation. The thing that really would worry me if I was in first place about Greg Hackney, he hasn't really caught a big fish yet.
Yeah.
Not those 8 and 9 pounders like these other guys, but he's been the most consistent fisherman that's catching those upper teens and then the 20-pound bag yesterday. He could bust a 30-pound bag for sure.
Fourth place, Greg Hackney, bringing in 21 pounds and 7 ounces for the weigh-in stand on day number 3. Right behind Cliff Prince, just within ounces of Cliff Prince. Both of them the most consistent of the guys in our top 5. Both of them catching about a 20-pound, 10-ounce average for the first 2 days, and not too far off each other on day number 3 either. Although Cliff Prince needed that huge one in order to get back close to 20 pounds yesterday.
He did, on the very last flip.
Both of them great Florida fishermen. We saw a stat for Greg just a minute ago. 7 top 20s in Florida. That's not bad.
It's not bad at all. He's a great fisherman. And to those just tuning in today, for me to say he hadn't caught a big fish yet, and he just held those 2 up compared to some of the other big fish that's been caught this week. He's caught all quality fish, been real consistent, but there's been, how many 8 to 10 pounders, 8, 9 pounders, I guess, you guys?
There's got to be at least
a dozen or more?
7 to 8 for sure. I mean, we've had 3 over 9. We've had a 9, a 9.2, and a 9.5. So there's at least 3 over 9. And there's, I mean, Odd had 2 8s on day 1. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Odd caught 2 8s, over 8 the first
and then
day.
I think Timmy's, I don't know the official weight on Timmy's because they weren't big fish for the day, but
they were
his day 2 and day 3s were 8 pounders. He said so.
Hackney not liking the wind, Ott not liking the wind. You can see it's scheduled to swap around from westerly to easterly today. And you look at Ott, you can kind of figure out what it's doing right now. He's obviously facing north. He's got the sun on the right side of his face, and it's coming right at him. So it's kind of going straight out of the north right now on its way to becoming, according to the model I'm looking at, a little more easterly. Not big time easterly, but north-northeast.
That is huge, huge for Timmy and Dean Rojas. Obviously, it's blowing on that end. Greg didn't have to go quite as far, but Timmy and Dean, I assume, aren't even to their area yet. We don't have a camera on over there. Taking them 10, 15 extra minutes.
Oh, sure.
We've been on them for a while by now, the previous days.
And Steve Bowman and his camera boat driver had a mishap driving down. They lost a wheel on their trailer, so he had to get picked up. He's making his way to go meet up with Hackney, though.
I hate it when you lose a wheel on your trailer.
That just makes it just doesn't roll right.
Lefebvre has a limit.
Wow.
All pretty small. It's only around 10 pounds.
Can we find out if the wind's blowing where he's at? Because several of these guys, especially Brown, and I'm surprised. I really thought that a little wind would help him. I'm sure it's surprising him because he's been catching fish pretty steady in the mornings, just about every 5 or 10 minutes. Not all big ones by any means, but just getting a lot of bites early in the morning. I'm really surprised.
Be kind of helpful to take a look at basically the areas these guys are populating over the course. Timmy Horton's still running. We just heard that, so he's not really at his spot where he's going to set up today. There's Greg Hackney, where he's at, not too far from Clewiston, Florida.
Cliff is in the most protected area. I think he's fishing inside during the day, even farther back in that stuff. He should be okay. Stephen Browning is more exposed than any of those other guys, but the direction of the wind is in his favor. I really, truly thought the wind would help Stephen, though, with his vibrating jig, but the day's early. He'll find him a group of them here pretty soon. And Odd up there around Kings Bar, where the shad spawn's going on, he's been catching a few more each morning than he has this morning, even though he's got a couple in the boat.
Lefebvre's on the other side of that. Kings Bar near Odd.
Okay. Okay, it probably is a little calmer on that side.
Davey, what
minutes now. Ain't had a bite.
Davey, how long do you think it would approximately take Timmy to get to his spot running the rim canal? We've seen the last few days with it being calm, he's ran straight across, taking about 30 minutes. Now he's having to go all the way around the like a 730 square mile lake.
He would have got there quicker, but you don't realize it. I tell you, I've had it happen to me. You think it can't be that rough out there. And you get out there and you're in the middle of it. You can't do anything. And you're running with the wind, so those swells, you just have to ride them, and you have to slow down. You have to slow down.
So running the rim canal was probably his best decision today.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll probably do that this afternoon.
Which could impact his fishing time, cut it down by probably an hour if it takes him double the time to get there and back.
But the known is better than the unknown, because you know it's going to take you longer than it might going across the lake, but you don't know how much time it's going to take you. Greg Hackney mentioned that. If you have to allow an extra 30 minutes because you think it's going to be 5-footers out there, and you get out there and it's 3-footers, and you've left your best area. So you want to maximize your time, but it's just another thing that you have to deal with as a professional fisherman every single day. It's a lot going on.
They don't have nice paved concrete roads to their morning commute. They got a lot of variables.
You know, I don't like sitting in traffic. I'd rather be out on the lake most days, but going across Lake Okeechobee with 20-mile-an-hour wind, I'd just soon be in Atlanta traffic.
Out in the middle of St. Clair when it's just gassing out there. That's, oh man, it can get fun.
I think Cliff just missed one there. Looked like it was his cameraman's fault the way he looked at it.
He did.
Capitalize on what bites I get in the morning, and hopefully this afternoon everything will come together like it has been. So, you know, we'll just have to just kind of keep our head down and keep fishing. So, y'all don't give up on me yet. It's too early in the morning.
That's why Cliff's smiling. He's totally counting on the afternoon bite.
Yeah.
Anything he catches this morning is a bonus.
Rojas has stayed north, and he's up on the east shore.
Oh, okay.
Far north.
So he will not be in every shot we take at Timmy today.
You have to have, and it's, you know, more weight is kind of a twofold deal. It's going to give that bait just a little different action than what we have, and maybe it'll kind of create a reaction bite more so than, you know, that little subtle bite that we worked on yesterday. I think that, and the other thing is, I mean, you're just going to be able to feel a little bit better. The big thing today is, you know, going to have to stay, especially if they get to biting these bottom baits. You're going to have to be able to feel your bait and what it's doing. So I don't think an 1/8 ounce weight, you know, you throw a little 3/16 or an 1/8 ounce weight in here, and I mean, it's liable to just, you know, with the wind and your line, it's liable to just blow it across all the grass and it not really get down to the fish. So a little bit heavier weight will definitely get that bait down there. They're probably going to be buried up in the grass today, you know. I mean, it's going to be one of those deals. I don't know if they're going to do a lot of chasing. There's going to be a time, you know, a period of time sometime today where they'll feed. But I'm pretty sure you're probably going to have to take it to them, you know, put it down there in front of them. And it always seems like when I pick this particular bait up that you know, it seems like the action kind of picks up. You can't cover a whole lot of water, you know, but it seems like if I can get this color of a bait around them, it really makes a big difference.
Stephen Browning talking yesterday about how spot-centric this thing is for him anyway. He says, you catch a good one, there's probably a 30-pound bag within your vision out there today.
It has always amazed me that a lake, any big lake, but especially Lake Okeechobee, that when you catch a 3-pound plus fish, there's always a couple other quality fish there with it. You can go for miles and hit that one spot, and if it's a good one, there's going to be some other good fish there close. Here's one of those bonus fish for Cliff Prince.
That's a good way to put it. Cliff Prince on the board now. Dave Lefebvre with a limit already today. Dean Rojas with a couple of small ones. Dr. Shryock on the board, as well as Adrian Avina, Bobby Lane Jr. Tim Horton still running to his spot, our leader on the way. Hopefully he'll be set up and ready to go when we come back.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
Fishing fans, make plans to be at the 2017 Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. March 24th through the 26th in Houston, Texas. See 52 of the world's best anglers weigh in their catch from Lake Conroe at Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. A weigh-in show like never before and one you've got to see in person. Check out the biggest outdoors expo in B.A.S.S. history, featuring the latest in fishing gear, giveaways, and more. Fun for the whole family and all events are free. Join us in Houston for the Geico Bassmaster Classic and be a part of the most exciting 3 days in fishing, period.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Out of office? Oh, man. Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the line.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working. I am working.
Just gonna call it.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Been dealing with this for 10 years, and I can't imagine how you can't.
World Championship of Fishing is the Geico Bassmaster Classic, and that is yet to come. 2 events already on the Bassmaster Elite Series before we hit the Classic. That's different this time around, but man, looks like it's going to be worth the wait. We head out to Houston, Texas, and up above Houston is where we find Lake Conroe on the San Jacinto River. That river that runs right through downtown Houston. Makes a big stop up north there at Lake Conroe, and that's a known fish factory. It's been proven to be so in years past, and everyone's got high hopes for that one and big time expectations. We know it'll be great. I mean, if it's anything like last year, if it's even half as good as last year, we're going to have a whale of a tournament. Certainly was a whale of a tournament for our defending champion, Edwin Evers, looking to defend on Conroe, but man, we've got a field qualified that's possibly the most impressive ever for a Geico Bassmaster Classic. Always an impressive Classic Expo presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, and that's has every chance of being greater than ever this year. In fact, it will be. It's bigger and better each and every year. Something you don't want to miss. One of the must-see things to do, or must-do things to see. I don't care how you put it. When you go to the Classic, we'll see you there. Davey, Mark Zona, myself will be in there, broadcasting some Bassmaster Live for you all 3 days of the Classic. Man, we'll have great coverage there.
I'm looking forward to that. I really am. This is the first Classic in 30 years that I've been so excited about that I wasn't actually competing in. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
It'll be different for you, won't it?
It will.
Oh, it will be. Absolutely. Back out on the water, Stephen Browning, Greg Hackney, Everybody got the wind on their mind a little bit today. It certainly is different than it has been the past 3 days.
Very, very different. Can't talk about it too much. People might get tired of me talking about it, but this changes everything.
It directs the way it goes today for sure.
And if you're Timmy Horton with the lead he's built up over 3 days, the last thing you wanted was change.
Ooh, no.
Some of these other guys wanted change for sure.
Bobby Lane has our first big fish, a 5-pounder. He's got 2 for about 7 right now.
There's a guy that just got in that cut, but you better look out for with the conditions changing. Bobby Lane, he's fished this lake. His brothers fished it forever. His family, his dad, his other brother, they know a lot about this lake, and he can adjust if things do go south with that north wind.
He started the week, Bobby did, in 5th place. He had a great day 1, dropped down to 12 pounds or so on day 2 and fell down. But yesterday, another good bag to sneak into the last top 12 spot.
Scary Florida guys, Bobby Lane, that's for sure. Let's get to our Yamaha Taste the Bait for today. We saw a lot yesterday. We learned a lot about what was going on out there on the water. Stephen Browning, one of those guys who was doing a lot of different things.
Yeah,
he really was. He's caught a lot of his fish on a vibrating jig bait, a chatter bait I think he uses. But then yesterday he broke out the spinning rod, and I love to see that versatility. He made his hay yesterday with a spinning rod. I think caught his biggest fish. This might not be it. Hopefully we got footage of it. Oh, that might be it. He caught a real big one using 12-pound test line. It makes it very exciting with all the vegetation. Lake Okeechobee catching 7-pounders like that on 12-pound test line.
Oh, that's the one. He was tickled with that one right there.
See that smile on his face.
And there's his gear right there. Some of it anyway.
Yep. Vibrating jig.
Right.
Every time you go to Lake Okeechobee in the spring, you better have one of those tied on. Brett Hite caught a big stringer the first day on the same bait, basically. Vibrating jig with a plastic trailer on there. And then the spinning rod. It was really how he made his hay yesterday. The first day, the first 2 days with the vibrating jig, but boy, he really, when he broke that combo out of his rod box, I thought, wow, he's doing something different today, and it really paid off for him. Look at the background though, little to no wind.
Different day to day. He's already talking about upping his weight so he can feel what's going on down there and everything. Keep the bait in the right place.
That changes things though. That Cinco type bait, you really want a light sinker on there because it got so much action with no weight on it.
Yeah.
And then here's Timmy, how he's been making his hay for sure. 3 mornings in a row, an 8+ pound bite, his very first bite. This one he lost yesterday. The 2 mornings before he caught him. I can't think of a better way to get started than in the morning off, other than with the 8-pound, 9-pound bass.
2 days in a row.
Then yesterday he lost another nice fish. Never lost one when we were on him. Friday, caught 30+ pounds, never lost a single fish. Yesterday, lost a few in that thick cover. It's just gonna happen, it's just gonna happen. I knew, unfortunately, when he landed every single fish the first day, he wasn't gonna be able to do that the whole time. And then yesterday afternoon, he really saved his day.
Here we go.
This was late in the day. Weighed in 15 pounds, and you can see a lot of that 15 pounds was this fish in the last 30 minutes.
Really flexed things out for him, but he stayed with what he was doing all day long. Maybe varied the length of his pitches and so forth a bit, but that setup's what he's been with the whole tournament.
Yep. He's been using, it's a heavy tungsten weight, depending on the cover, anywhere from an 1.5 ounce to a 1 ounce tungsten weight, flipping a soft plastic creature bait, 50-pound test braided line, 8-foot rod, just manhandling most of those fish.
Take you down, take a look at cliff prints here. Back with you live. You don't even have to look at the screen. You can listen until that wind is just getting a little more insistent every time
We've got just the 2 Florida pros in the top 12, Bobby Lane and Cliff Prince, is that right?
Yes, 2 Florida pros.
Yeah. both of these, obviously, great Florida fishermen, guys that could certainly make it. Oop, he's got one. Another bonus fish.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a better one.
Yep.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You can just...
I'll take 5 of them today to start with.
You can just sense he's giggling, and it's, you know, certainly not a winning fish, but he knows this is icing on the cake.
Oh yeah, this is...
He hasn't caught much at all early in the mornings. He's been catching his fish later in the day. He's changed up a little bit this morning.
Man, it's a good feeling to start like that. You know, I'm kind of figuring out what they want to bite, so I just want to bite that and catch me a couple of hunters later today. We'll be...
Oh! Don't break up on us there.
Babies. Come on. Come on.
The fish is in here. I just got to slow down and catch them. Figure out what they want to eat today. I hadn't waited on that all week, but they'll keep weighing them.
I was just mentioning that Bobby Lane and Cliff Prince, if it does blow 20 miles an hour, and it certainly looked like it's headed that way, the guys should be able to adjust better than the other 10 guys with just a lot more experience on Lake Okeechobee.
Hey, if you're a Florida fisherman, you got wind experience.
Yeah,
I mean, it
that's
always
true.
seemingly blows in Florida. Is it just me, or I've just never seen Robert Duvall and Cliff Prince in the same room together. There's something kind of eerily similar about those two. You listen to them talk, you look at their faces. Yeah.
Yep. I got it.
All right. Well, we got a text a few minutes ago. You might want to read this out here today. I don't want to tip the story or anything like that, but this is just one report. One report we've had from the area where Timmy Horton's.
It comes from a pretty good source.
Yeah.
We got a photographer there, J.O. He's just reporting what he sees, and like I said, he's a very, very good source.
If anybody knows, he should know.
The first thing he texted me was they drove around and put in. The smart guys, they get to do that. Trip wouldn't let our guys do that. They just put a 30 mile an hour speed limit on them, and then once you get out in the lake where there's 4-footers, you can go wide open.
All you want. Eat it up.
So anyway, the first text was they were over in the area where Timmy had been catching them, and the wind had really, I hate to be so blunt, but I'm just going to read the text. The area's trashed already. And by that he meant it's already dirtying up from the wind. The latest text was Timmy just reached his spot and having trouble deploying his trolling motor.
Uh-oh.
That tells me that he encountered some rough water between takeoff and there. So we'll see. Not the way you want the final day to start.
No, not at all.
For any one of the top 12, but I guess if anyone has a little room for error or troubles or wind, it's Timmy Horton with an 8-pound lead.
Boy, it's going to test all his resources, creative thinking, and if he doesn't get that trolling motor up and going fast, but he just got to figure out a way to do that.
He will. The other great thing that I think we don't talk about enough is the service crews that travel around to all the Bassmaster tournaments. They are sitting there the whole practice period and even on the final day when there's only 12 guys, and there's probably 15 service crew guys sitting there that if anything goes wrong with any of these guys, they're going to get there as fast as they can to help them out. And it means so much to us, and the privilege that we have. Fishing local tournaments for my whole life, you never had the service crew waiting there in case anything happens. So I shout out to those guys. They've certainly helped me out a lot through my career. And you want to call somebody when something goes down, you call guys that work on stuff and know those boats like the back of their hand. They'll come help you out.
And he's 35 miles down lake by water. Driving around would be closer to 100.
Yeah, but still, they'll get there as fast as they can, and they'll get him going. He'll probably have it figured out in just a few minutes himself, but there is help that will be on the way if they're not already on the way if he has some kind of issue that he can't get straightened out. But he'll probably be okay in the next few minutes. Just
sometimes it can be as simple as one of the, the pin that
Sure.
lets the trolling motor go down. It won't lock in place, and he just has to hit it with a hammer or a blunt object, and then so that's the most common thing of deploying, at least. Unless
that's
it's
the way I
locked
fix
in.
most things. Hit it with a hammer.
Yeah.
Hit it with a hammer. If that don't fix it, hit it harder with a hammer.
Is there wood block in your boat for a reason as well? Bang on it with whatever you can.
That brings back memories. So when I won the Clark Hill tournament, Bassmaster Elite tournament, I had some issues with a trolling motor. Back then they put us in different boats, so it made me really frustrated that they put me in this boat that I'm not familiar with and the trolling motor wouldn't go down. But service crew came, got me fixed in just 10 minutes. I won the tournament. So no need to panic.
No. I would think way more disturbing is the condition of the water.
Absolutely.
Where he was fishing.
That trolling motor will be just fine, I bet.
That's fixable.
The service crew can't fix the wind direction in the water if it really is stirred up. And it's people that have never been to Lake Okeechobee, you can't realize how a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and it's not even blowing 20 yet, but it's blowing pretty good down on that south end where you can tell Greg Hackney is, how quickly it will change everything and how quickly those fish will have lockjaw. And I've often wondered, because I've stayed right there and fished, even people with shiners don't catch those fish, and I've wondered, do they just leave? I don't think they do in the short term, but if that water stays stained with that decayed vegetation for very long, those fish leave. They just totally will migrate somewhere else.
Is it one of those things where, almost like during a cold front when you're flipping mats and heavy cover, where you have to just hit them right in the face to make them bite it? They're not going to go out of their way to get it. So is that,
Not even that.
It's not
they
even
won't
that.
even bite if you hit them in the face. They just turn the other cheek, turn the other gill. Oh my goodness. Because I've tried that, Ronnie. That's a great question. I've tried that during Bassmaster tournaments. You think, well, they haven't all left here yet. There were so many here yesterday. If I just put it right in his face, he's got to react. The thing that's surprising to me, though, Greg Hackney is farther in than any of those guys.
I won't say anything that will make me look too bad. Have too many people write in, call in.
Greg Hackney's really, his wheels are turning right now. When he first got to that spot, boy, he gave us a lot of good stuff.
They said they lost your audio.
He's really thinking right now.
He's grinding now a little bit.
Well, as long as they keep biting this jerk bait, we're gonna keep throwing it. But if they something happens and they quit biting it, I might have to go old school on them, just drag old Texas rig worm around and see what we can do with that. I know in practice I got some bites doing that, so there's still room for a lot of improvement on today, but it's gonna be a long day. You guys stay tuned, and hopefully between now and then I catch me 3 8-pounders.
Just got an update from J.O. Trolling motor issue resolved, fishing. So that's great. He's fishing now. Great news. We need whenever we can get on Timmy, we need to get on him, because
boy, no kidding.
That first bite for 3 straight days has been 8 and 9 pound fish. Don't want to miss it today.
Before we leave Cliff Prince, we just heard him talking about a jerkbait. That's one thing that's awesome. I covered him down at the St. Johns River last year when he was in the top 12, and he completely opened my eyes on different ways of fishing Florida other than the sight fishing, flipping, topwater kind of thing. He was throwing so many baits that I would throw in the Carolinas growing up, or that are really popular, on the East Coast, not in that thick stuff. So to see him throwing a jerkbait is one of those deals that's interesting. I know they do it down there, but to see someone on the final day with that much confidence on an Okeechobee, when you think of Hackney's situation instead of open water like that.
The key, in my opinion, to being able to throw a jerkbait down in Florida, because you have so much vegetation, is really understanding your jerkbaits. With crankbaits, the key to fishing a crankbait, you want to make contact with cover. And most people, if you fish very much at all, you understand and you know that a DT6 runs 6 feet deep. Most companies basically tell you that in the name of the bait. But with jerkbaits, not so much. But the whole key to being able to fish this vegetation with a jerkbait is not putting on a jerkbait that dives 8 feet deep when the vegetation is 2 feet under the surface. And I'm sure
And they're getting bigger.
Cliff knew this, or knows this. The bait that he uses, he wants to have just barely make contact with that grass every so often, but stay above it. The big key. You try to throw a bait out there that dives 8 feet and the grass is 2 feet under the surface, you're going to get very frustrated in a hurry and you're not going to catch anything. He's got some sharp hooks on there. Everything that gets close to it gets.
We're getting a few bites anyway. That's an improvement of what's been happening early in the morning.
Young ones are biting too.
Yeah. Mom's here somewhere. He wasn't coming on, I can tell you that. Poor sucker. Nah, he's about 6 pounds shy of what I need.
Seemed like wipe that slime on his shorts right there. My wife used to love watching live and see me do that stuff. Just get that old.
There he is.
Oh, another one. Cliff's made some good moves here this morning. It's like a lot better fish.
Oh, a little tiny sucker anyway.
You gotta like Cliff.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, we just keep plugging around in here and
listen
figure
to that
something a little out. We got just 5.
Is that Darth Vader's?
I think that's our
sword, lightsaber. I'm hearing.
Either that or a digital problem somewhere. Let's take a look at this miss one more time, Cliff Prince.
He's made an adjustment. The other guys we watch are basically doing what they've been doing the previous 3 days, which I certainly don't blame them, but Cliff is doing something different and it's working out for him.
I think you'd rather be catching them than waiting on something to happen.
Absolutely. It just showed that he finished 51st here in 2012, which surprised me because he's always so good when we come to Florida. And 51st, unfortunately, was probably the first guy that didn't make 10 grand. So
He was
double whammy when it's 51st.
He lost out on a tiebreaker that year. Him and Pat Golden were tied for 50th, and he lost the tiebreaker. So he's the first one to miss a cut based on tiebreaker.
Jeez,
so a check
not the
is
stat that you want related to your name.
Be that guy.
He's having fun today. Having fun watching.
Is my hair good?
There he is. He's got another one.
He hit it like a big one, didn't he?
Boy, those hooks. Pull one out and 2 more get in.
Yeah, that's a sticky one.
About 10 and a half, 11. No. There again, about 6 pounds shy of what I need. It's all right though. Gives me confidence in her biting. Keep plugging around in here. We'll catch the right ones. They in here. We just got to make them bite.
I'm shocked Hackney hasn't caught a fish yet.
kinda am
He's
too.
back in on that back hard line. He should be better off today with this wind blowing than any of those other fish.
Do you think he's getting hung up a little bit more in this cover because that wind's kind of making those reeds maybe catch on his line a lot more, and it's going to make it a lot harder on him flipping, you know, with the wind at his back like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Good point.
Because I mean, in
have to get
the
out of
10 minutes we've seen
Go a
him
little more.
fishing, you know, he's probably got
Again,
hung
I
up
had
more
beat
than
this
Horton
past
has.
Death. I don't even know. Really, in my mind, I'm like, I just have to make sure new ones haven't showed up. You know what I'm saying? I just fish. That's the reason I know there's a couple key places where it seems like when one shows up, it's where they get at.
Well, he just made that statement. A couple key places when one shows up, that's where they get at. That's fish that are moving in the spawn, and they stage just briefly, probably on a little point of those reeds, some kind of little irregular feature along that
Okay,
grass
I got
line.
answers.
We read that this was your first pro tournament, or Lake Okeechobee was the location of your first pro tournament. True? Or was it first pro win, maybe? I don't know.
No. First pro top 10.
First pro top 10.
And maybe it was the first one. I'm trying to think if it would have been, I don't know if you consider it a pro tournament, a minor league. I think I finished 5th. I remember that, the reason I remember it so well, I had just got married. I mean, like, I had been married maybe a year. And we had a New Year's Eve party at my house. And I left at 3 o'clock the next morning and drove here.
And a hammer was born.
Green as a gourd.
Not bad, though.
Oh, no, it was good. It suited me. I was like, oh, wow. I drove up and saw what it looked like. Let me just tell you, the night I drove down here, I got down here middle of the night, stayed in some little old town away from Clewiston. Possibly one of the worst hotels I've ever stayed in my life. I was just lucky I got out of there. I didn't know. Well, anytime you stay at a place for less than $40 a night, you tell me. It was seedy. I went in there in the dark and left in the dark. I couldn't even hardly sleep after I got in there. It's a concrete hall. I remember that, going to the room. Went down a concrete block hall, and it was dark. Yeah, I was like, wow. Anyway, it got better once it got daylight. You know, I ended up catching them sight fishing. I found them on spinnerbait, and I ended up getting in of course, the lake doesn't look anything now like it did then, but in a little old backwater hole not far from where we are right now, the last 2 days, and I caught them, first 2 days I caught them on a spinnerbait, and I caught a big one on a jerk bait. And oh yeah. I practiced in here. It didn't look like this then. I had 1 5-pound bite flipping a tube and some hyacinth. The lake didn't have all these reeds in it now. I mean, like it does now. Then it was big opening. Everything, all these bays, you would come through that Kissimmee grass and it would just be open. All of South Bay was full of pepper grass. It didn't even, and now it's a solid wall of, you know, reeds and stuff. I mean, it's changed. I've never been here 2 times when it looked, you know, not 2 years in a row when it looked the same from year to year. It always changes. The fish always seem to live in the same places. They just relate different, you know. Maybe they've moved 1,000 yards or because of the cover. Yep, this ain't gonna get it. The deal is, I'm afraid the problem is I can't fish thorough enough to get bit here. There's not that many fish, so we're fixing to move into a little area where they're a little thicker. Will help my percentages. I mean, they don't really seem that hard to catch if you drop it right on them, but the deal is it has to, it seems like it has to land right on their head. They're not moving to get it, you know.
He said he's about to go somewhere where they're a little thicker. I hope we still got good service when he moves, because he said there's not enough of them here. I'm about to go somewhere where they are a lot thicker.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why I wouldn't have started there. But.
Yeah, that's the question right there. So Greg Hackney, obviously about to bail on that spot right there. What we have seen today is a couple of good, nice frogfish from Hot Defo getting going today.
Hot hasn't really got going until he takes his shoes off, and he goes to catching them. I'm hoping this north wind won't make him keep his shoes on all day.
Yeah, you've got to get down and get into that carpet a little deeper right there. Take a look at, we got some trivia, early trivia, Dick CPEC trivia today. What event, we're talking about big margins, what event was most recently won by a double-digit margin? If you're interacting with us on social media, give us your answer. Jump on there and give us an answer real quick. We'll take a break, and when we come back, that's I don't know where to start thinking about that, but somebody's got the answer. So send us your thoughts on it. Send us your guesses, and we'll roll out that answer when we come back. Hashtag Bass Live. So you can send that to us, and we'd love to hear from you all day long. Had Davey answering a lot of questions yesterday.
That was fun.
Social media stuff. That was great, man.
A little bit of that today.
Making it worth your while to stay with us today. We still got so many unanswered questions today. So many guys are really not settled in yet and may not be for a while. But when it gets going, it's going to be very, very interesting. Just a little over an hour into our fishing day, and we'll be back.
Continually proven on the tournament trail and with Skeeter owners everywhere with 14 consecutive NMMA CSI Consumer Satisfaction Awards. Our competition doesn't even come close. Right now, buy, save, fish with up to $1,500 in instant rebates through March 31st, including the newly redesigned limited edition FX series. Now is the best time to buy, save, fish. Skeeter.
Fishing fans, make plans to be at the 2017 Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, March 24th through the 26th in Houston, Texas. See 52 of the world's best anglers weigh in their catch from Lake Conroe at Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. A weigh-in show like never before, and one you've got to see in person. Check out the biggest outdoors expo in B.A.S.S. history, featuring the latest in fishing gear, giveaways, and more. Fun for the whole family, and all events are free. Join us in Houston for the Geico Bassmaster Classic and be a part of the most exciting 3 days in fishing, period.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S. today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S. has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, BASS cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
Is this being in the moment? Is this hanging out? And is this really playing with your kid? Don't stop what you're doing to capture what you're doing. Keep running, keep playing, keep dancing. Just keep doing.
GoPro, start recording.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The Classic and each individual Elite Event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 Black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at BassmasterFantasy.com.
Oh, yeah! Awesome. Awesome. Yes! Woo! It's a big one. Giant. Boom! Dude, and I just got a hook in my hand. Right here. That's bad. Don't tell me, just do it. Just like that. I got it. That's a big one, big one. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that makes me happy right there. That's a big one. Woo! What's going on here, man? What's up with that? Yes! Yes! Come on, give me some, baby. Give me some. Yes! Those are the kind we need right there. Yeah! Nice! Yes, sir. He's got it good. Big one, big one. Yes! Yes! Yeah! Yes! Yeah, boys! Oh, stay on there! Yeah! That's what we're after right there, boys.
31 pounds, 7 ounces! The legendary Mr. Rick Clun knocks the lights out! Ricky Clun gets it done! From Lake Wiley, South Carolina, Britt Meyer! 5 pounds, 13 ounces! Britt Meyer smashes him in front of his hometown crowd! Your champion, ladies and gentlemen. Let me hear it for Randall Thurm. 16 pounds and 2 ounces. The Honey Badger hammers him on Championship Sunday. Get loud for Takahiro Amore. 16 pounds, 10 ounces. Takahiro Amore, your champion from Kalamazoo, Michigan. KVD, Kevin Van Dam. 21 pounds, 6 ounces. KVD gets it done with win number 21. The Hack Attack whacks him on Championship Sunday. Your champion, Greg Hackney. 12 pounds, 10 ounces. KVD gets it done. 19 pounds, 13 ounces. Justin Lucas lays the lugger to the Potomac River. 12 pounds and an ounce. Defoe is an Elite Series champion. Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year. The G-Man gets it done and finishes in spot number 1.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
Now for your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com.
Woo, woo.
Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2016 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year Gerald Swindle. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash. Plus a Triton 17 TX bass boat, Mercury engine, and Gerald's gear from Humminbird, Minn Kota, GoPro, and more. You, the winner of a valuable prize? Could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
Okay.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee. Brought to you live by Hook.
Second hour of fishing on Lake Okeechobee, final day. ARE Truck Cap's Bassmaster Elite. Just moments ago, Ott Depot.
Come off in the air. How about that? And look for number 3 though. Well, everyone hit it before that. I don't know if it was the same one, if he followed it out or not.
I'm going to say if this tournament was decided on who caught the most fish, Ott Depot would be winning.
He'd be up there for sure. Back live with our anglers here. Ott Depot, among our raffle of 5 live that we're watching, has caught the fish, and so is Cliff Prince.
Yeah.
I can't believe I missed him. It's a little one. I mean, he freaking smoked it when it went in there. I never touched him.
Boy, Greg was ready for that bite.
Mm-hmm.
He about fell out of the boat. He was expecting something to be on the other end.
Hey, this water looks like it's dropped a foot up here.
That's,
the water will really drop on this lake from the wind. It blows the water all to the other side. There had been water through that place right there, and it's totally dry now.
I'm sure a lot of folks thought that I was full of baloney when we were talking about that earlier in the week.
Well, you should go through it again. You can't talk about it enough. Just think about a plate full of water and a little blow on it.
What Ott Depot just said, the water dropped a foot. And how many square miles of water are we talking about?
750 square.
750 square miles of water. So it wasn't a cup full of water. A foot over 750 square miles just went to the other side. So where Timmy is, in that area, because this northeast wind, south, Greg Hackney and folks that are on that south end, it changes everything. Overnight, and it hasn't even started blowing 20 yet. It's supposed to gust up to 21 miles an hour today. It affects everything. And for that much water, the other thing we talked about, for that much water to move, it creates a tremendous amount of current.
Out there behind you.
I think you just mentioned again that it's water. Oh, another fish.
Funny is these fish ain't got cold tag holes. They ain't released fish.
He's really
Not
close
big
to
enough.
ramp. He's saying,
talking
they're
about
not release fish.
Recycle.
Yeah.
How many is that for Ott now? 4?
4. That's his 4th fish.
But he hasn't even taken his shoes off yet.
No.
Lefebvre's up to 15 pounds now, second place, but
wow,
he's the only one with the limit for sure.
Fish like that got him 2.5 pounds unofficially behind our leader, Timmy Horton.
Crazy
Second place right now.
Crazy to think that
I know we've never had someone come from 100th to make the top 12, so certainly nobody's come from 100th to win. What's the farthest back? Can you guys find that out? If anyone's ever come in an elite
to win?
To win.
Oh, I'm not sure. We'll look that up for
I know
sure.
you,
but
I got confidence in you. I know you guys can.
Like Mercer said the other day, I don't think this was for the top 12, but I think on like a day 2 or something, Goldbeck jumped from 100th to 2nd. And I think that was at Dardanelle at one point, but that was a 98 place jump in one day, but I don't think he ended up making the top 12. But yeah, so Lefebvre's probably flirting with records for sure.
I'd say flirting. With just a miracle, amazement to come back like that, and for us to be talking about him. He's, according to Bass Track, in 2nd place.
He started the day 17 pounds 7 ounces behind Tim Horton.
And now he's 2.5 pounds back.
That's why you have to tune in. We're all talking, including myself, about you better watch Greg Hackney. Nobody even mentioned Lefebvre, and who would have thought he's closer to Timmy right now than anyone?
Of course, Timmy's yet to boat his first fish of the day, and we're yet to see our first picture from him today.
I looked on the map. He looks like he's a little bit tucked up closer to that Kramer Island than he has in the
He's going to try to tuck in there as far as he can get to get out of that wind, but I don't know if he's going to be able to tuck in there enough.
Some cuts in through there that he could maybe hide in if it gets too bad, I guess.
It's all a matter of him getting within coverage from the data cell towers that are nearby and not so nearby, and sometimes they can get tucked up in a place, and that prevents us getting the pictures. We've been so lucky, you know, you come down to a place that's this rural, this agricultural around it, and you think, well, we may not see a shot all week unless somebody's fishing right off the ramp, but we've been so lucky. We've seen everything basically this week.
When I heard that he was fishing the area that he's in, when I've been down there in the past, there's almost zero cell service in that area, but we've had great coverage of him. Saw him catch the 31 pounds.
Every bit of it.
Every single one. And then yesterday with great service, but it's kind of like my phone, where you have service one day, you get cut off the next.
Yeah. The wind blows, the clouds come and go, it all seems to affect it some way or another. And of course you get out of the line of sight and get up tucked against something, that can hurt you too.
You know, Tommy, we're gonna have to do over/under on when Ott's gonna take his shoes off. Okay. You think it'll be with the north wind? It's gonna be a little later in the day. I realize that.
Yeah.
But I guess he's gonna have to.
You're gonna have to lose them.
I'll take my shoes off when it gets warm enough to take these bibs off. I'd be really funny looking if I had my bibs on and my shoes still on.
But would it be worth catching an 8-pounder?
And today, the only bad thing is I'm planning on riding a bunch, and the only thing that's painful with my shoes off is holding that hot foot down. That's not real comfortable, so when I'm riding, I gotta have my shoes on. Riding a long way anyway. Absolutely, because I'd be so hot right then I couldn't stand it. I'd do it for a 4-pounder. I'd be so hot.
So Davey, I was wrong. Not afraid to acknowledge I was wrong. But Justin Lucas, he's tuned in. He just texted me and said Grant Goldbeck jumped from 100th to 2nd. We were right on that. But he did finish 2nd. He finished 2nd at the Harris chain when Grigsby won.
Sure, yeah, in that little pond. They were fishing the same place too.
Yeah,
he had one fish for 1 pound 1 ounce on day 1 and ended up finishing 2nd to Grigsby. So I don't know if anybody's came from farther than that to win, but 100 to 2nd is pretty good.
That's formidable.
Awesome. Yeah, my big old toes, I can spread them out and really get a grip on that foot pedal.
It's still going on that.
Big old toes.
I love it.
If I can hear us or his cameraman relate this to him, I'd like for him to talk a little bit about the water dropping a foot in an area overnight.
Well, it started getting me fishing barefooted some. It was one morning walking down to the dock before blast off. I had a blowout on my flip-flops. So I was without shoes anyway. and I kind of liked it. So we've got a strong north wind today, I mean, and it blew most of, it started blowing sometime during the night. It's not like it just started this morning, but out on the lake it had been blowing most of the night. Gosh dang. I don't know why they're hitting it like that and not getting it. But when it blows like that on a lake like this, Great Lakes, any of these kind of places, it really pushes a lot of water. And I mean, it can really pull the water out of a place, and it can really stack it up in a place, you know, so wherever it's blowing from, the water's going to drop, and where it's blowing into, it's going to push it up. But it's something I never understood when I first started fishing down here, how that wind could push so much water around, but it certainly does. I'll try swimming the white jig right here in a minute.
Another thing to make point.
Just nipping at that bladed jig. I mean, the fish I've caught on it ain't just barely had it. Almost like it's too much.
You know, I talked about the water dropping, and it does that. The other thing, the direction of the wind affects some people more than others. Obviously, the downwind bank is the one that really gets trashed. But something I haven't heard any of those guys mention yet that I totally believe, they had wind that blew in practice, and a lot of those guys still caught fish, had some of their best days.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys had their best days on the day that wind blew really bad. I think it was the third day of practice, but it was a south wind. These northern bass, you see the guys have more clothes on than they did yesterday?
Sure, yeah.
That north wind, and they're talking about they're hitting funny. I haven't had a bite in Hackney's case. Not hitting that bladed jig like they normally do. I just said like they have been all week. But the one guy that's got something going on is Lefebvre. But these other guys, I'll be shocked. Unfortunately, we want to see lots of big catches, but I'll be shocked if they catch the numbers that they caught yesterday.
Okay.
But as we've talked all week, it doesn't have to, you don't have to catch 30, you just need to catch 5 of the right ones. So hopefully these guys will catch some big ones.
Well, it's about time we give them something to look at, isn't it? I mean, I'm dragging this morning. That's the deal with it. I know some of it is I'm not efficient enough. I'm skipping too much, you know, not being able to fish everything like it needs to be fished, but that's not an excuse.
What Greg's talking about there, for years I did this. That's why I know the answer. When you see those reeds, wow, they're reeds, I'm just going to pitch the reeds. It's a lot more to it than just pitching the reeds. Mm-hmm. When he said he can't be efficient enough, before you ever get that first bite, you have to treat each day like a new day that it is, and pitch everything, and you will get that first bite, and it'll be something specific about that, hopefully, and usually it will be if it's a quality fish. A 3-pound plus, I always pay close attention to exactly where that fish was and what he was relating to. And he needs to get that first bite, so he has to flip everything. And then when you get that first bite, or especially by the second bite, there'll be a certain look. They'll be in a little pocket. They'll be beside a pad and a reed. There'll be a point. It'll be an isolated clump. It'll be something within that big line of reeds. You just don't go down through there throwing at everything. And that's what Greg's talking about. He can't be efficient enough because he needs to find out where these fish are positioned today, because every single day on Lake Okeechobee is different.
Hackney's last win was last year, B.A.S.S Fest on Texoma. strong day of flipping a jig there, strong 4 days of flipping a jig there.
Yeah, I was about to say, probably the same rod with the same line, maybe even the same jig on there.
Possibly the same weight even, you never know.
Yeah. But you see, with those close-up pictures, there's a different picture. You know, you see the little patch of hyacinths. I've seen days where when you saw the one clump, that's where the fish would be. Right. 30 yards up and down that bank. If you saw that, you flip in there and there was your bite. But it's not that same scenario every day. And you have to be precise and really be focused on what you're doing. So when you do get that first bite, you know why. You see a point right in front of it. Sometimes they're on the tip of those points. Sometimes they're in the thickest part of that clump leading out to that point.
You follow any Florida fisherman around, and they're going down the bank, and you hear them say, "Okay, inside the donut." Then that's where it's happening today. Outside, you're right. They're constant. Yeah, and you have to put it together every day. You got to redo the whole thing every day.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. 100% correct.
One thing, Davey, I got a text from Alton Jones Jr. earlier before Browning made his move, and he said where he's fishing, Alton, Jr. fished near him all week. They were in the same general area. And he said that he was fishing like the inside edge of the grass line where Browning was probably on the outside, I'm assuming. He said with that northeast wind that they had in practice, Alton Jr. caught him real good where he was, not so much over where Browning was. So like you said, because of the water level, the wind will get more water on that grass. Those fish can move a couple 100 yards, 1,000 yards. And that's what Alton Jr. was saying, that they probably had moved or the biting fish were on the other side.
The thing about current that this wind creates is current is almost always a good thing. It positions fish. We all use current to locate fish, and it gets them, on a target area where a tip of a point somewhere that, you can really be efficient with current. But the problem with current on Lake Okeechobee, it stirs the water. Yeah. And that decayed vegetation is just like dust laying on the surface of the bottom. Obviously it's wet, it can't be dust, but that's the best way I can describe it. Just a puff of air and it gets stirred all up in the water.
And it's thousands of years worth of decayed vegetation. It's not like Clark's Hill or Bull Shoals or something like that.
It's deeper than my rod because I've been on those areas with a soft bottom that I've talked about. You can actually stick your rod tip to the bottom, and instead of your tip stopping when it touches bottom, it just goes straight through and just goes. And like you said, thousands of years. And the dyeing process has been sped up in the last 30 years since they've been spraying. Every time they go through and spray all those big mats, they dye and go, and it coats the bottom with another layer of decayed vegetation, which is soft bottom, is not what those fish want.
So how is Okeechobee not getting even shallower? I always wonder that if you keep doing that, or does a certain part of the lake end up being shallower? Is that why it changes so much?
Mother Nature is great. That's why that place has been there for so long. When you have the droughts and where those reeds are now are dry land, that it can harden, the dust will blow away, the wind, the rain. Like you mentioned earlier, Tommy, sometimes a flood is a great thing.
Sure.
Mother
Hurricanes,
Nature
ripping some stuff up.
Just natural, in some cases, disasters are really good things for nature. Yeah. To clean out, to
restore order.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I'm doing a great job today. I told everybody on social media to chime in on trivia, and then we just blow it off for another 30 minutes. We're going to get back to it now. So Dick CPEC Trivia, what event was most recently won by a double-digit margin? And that's a great question. Let's see what anybody in the room gonna venture a guess here?
It was my question.
That was your okay. Okay, social media answers. Here we go. All right.
Not Toledo Bend.
Not Toledo Bend.
St. John's River.
That was my first thought. St. John's River with Chris Lane.
It's a double digit, but it's not the most recent.
Okay, all right. Paulinick and Bull Shoals.
Another double digit, but you got it. It's a lot more recent. No, a lot more recent.
And that wasn't that long ago. Let's take a look at the next one there from Boone Wrestle. All right, Bassmaster Classic 2016.
Bingo.
That's it. There you go.
10 pounds and 5 ounces was Edwin's margin on that final day he won by.
How could you forget that? Apparently half of us did, including myself. Last year's Classic, yeah, exactly right. Good
answers. Double-digit win is huge. When you can beat the best of the best by double digits.
What's even more impressive is that's 3 days winning by double digits.
Yeah,
it's not
no
like
kidding.
he
Great
built
point.
it up over days of, an extra day. That's just 3, so.
Here's a little trivia, I bet no one knows but Davey.
Okay.
I won the Bassmaster Classic by 9 pounds, 15 ounces, and it's still a little sore in my side because I wanted that 1 more ounce because a double-digit win means everything.
There you go. There you go.
Double-digit win. I missed it by an ounce, and I still remember it. No one else I knew would. But.
Edwin got it, and you didn't. Well, that's Ronnie's got some more information along those lines, and we'll get to that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break right now. That's our leaderboard right now.
Timmy Horton, Octafo, been 1 and 2 or 1, 2, 3 all week. Stable fever. Certainly not anybody that we thought we'd be talking about on Sunday, but he's catching more fish than anyone in the field.
Oh, it's happening. All right, coming up, we'll be right back.
The ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee is brought to you by Shell Rotella, Yamaha, Triton Boats, Toyota, Power Pole, and by Skeeter Boats.
Man, it's slow today. Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com. Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2016 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year Gerald Swindle. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash, plus a Triton 17 TX bass boat, Mercury engine, and Gerald's gear from Humminbird, Minn Kota, GoPro, and more. You, the winner of a valuable prize? Could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
What is this meeting about again?
Fishing! Took my boat, boom, jumped over it, and I caught a giant. It was like a whale. 29 pounds, baby! That's the last time I danced on stage. Wow. Chief Fishing Officer. How do I get that job? I don't know.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to find out more about my real job.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Lake Okeechobee, the Big O, is the center of the fishing world today. Once this one's wrapped up, and it's far from being wrapped up, all the attention will focus on this place right here, Houston, Texas, and Lake Conroe in a month from this weekend, when they'll be contesting the World Championship of Fishing. Minute Maid Park, that's where they're going to have the weigh-ins each and every day, one of the outstanding, glittering baseball venues in this country right here. It's going to be a fantastic backdrop. Watch the best in the world weigh them in each and every one of the 3 days. Dave Mercer will be there, keeping it going. All the other attractions, all the flash and all the lights and smoke and contests and giveaways and everything, it all happens. It's something you definitely don't want to miss. If you got any chance of being in Houston, check it out. Also, the Expo presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. It's just great stuff. The Bassmaster Classic. And watch this space, Bassmaster.com, because they say all our efforts, all our info is going to be key to that for the next month, building you up to the Bassmaster Classic. We'll have Bassmaster Live for you there as well. We'll have it all. Everything we can bring to bear, we'll roll it out for the Classic. This was moments ago, Greg Hackney.
He scores. Like, really? Freaking rat. All that work for that. Trying to fool you. Here, I'm trying to feed my kids today.
All right, finally, everybody wanting to see Hackney fish today. We've seen some of that. Now he's on catches today, so that's a big bonus. And we've been wanting to see, of course, the guy we've been on for the last 2 days. Big time, the big story of this tournament. That's Timmy Horton. I think maybe we've gotten him into a place where we can get some pictures of him right now. Yes, there we go. Good.
Got to watch him all day because his first bite for 3 days in a row has been 8-pounder, 8-pounder, and yesterday a 9-pounder. But his last bite yesterday was the biggest fish he brought to the scale, so we got to watch him all day. The first time I've seen him pick up a different rod or a different bait all week, isn't it, Tommy?
Already the changes.
All right, you ready? You know, obviously, the strong north wind has pushed, you know, the lake stays muddy here at Okeechobee most of the time, and these bays stay clean, but the wind will push the dirty water up in these bays, and that's what's happened to my area up there, both of them. And so we moved back here. We found some good water here. I like this. Caught a couple of 3-pounders doing this in practice, so if we can put a limit of that together here, I still feel good about it. You know, it's going to be tough on a lot of people today. Obviously, the guys fishing up north, it's not going to affect their area. We still got a lot of clear water here in South Bay. We just got to find the right deal and stay at it. You know, a couple of the right bites, and it can still happen. So we're just going to keep plugging away, keep moving. Almost treat a little bit, you know, mix it up on what we've caught them on, and a little bit of a practice day as well. But I'm liking this color water that we're in right here. Like I said, I caught a couple through here doing this on this swim jig in practice, so we're going to keep at it.
Tommy, we talked early in the week about what I felt like was the reason that there was only Timmy Horton and Dean Rojas in the area that they were in. In an elite, a lot of local tournaments are won there, some VFLs, those sort of things, but I don't know of, correct, I'm sure some viewers will correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know of a 4-day event, especially an elite event, where an angler was able to fish all 4 days in that same area that Timmy's been in without the wind. This time of year, especially where you're gonna have those strong north winds, 4 days in a row, it's a different deal. To be able to go out and catch fish all 4 days, something's gonna change. I promise you, this is the last thing that Timmy wanted for it to happen, but he's been very fortunate for it to last as long as it has. Clean water, he's moved farther back in. He might not be exactly where he was. He could be around on the other side of that island, but he's farther back in is where that, when you're on the downwind side of that northern wind, it just pushes that clean water farther in, because all that water that Dr. Foe was talking about, a foot of water from the north side has come there to replace that clean water, and it just pushes it farther in. With a south wind, when it pushes that water around, those fish move with it and they seem to be more aggressive. With the north wind, you think all I gotta do is go right in and find the clear water, and those fish are gonna be biting. But these fish don't bite as well with that north wind because of the cold front I mentioned.
Our CH Marine Weather Watch bringing us something pretty telling right there. That wind, of course, has been coming out of the north and west for all the tournament, and now you see it's in the process of swapping around. You look at some of the models, it's going to become more northeast as we head into the afternoon hours today. So whatever's bad now is going to be aggravated a little bit.
We talked about that yesterday quite a bit. I'm sure a lot of the people watching today weren't with us when we talked about it yesterday. I said if it's got more north than northeast, which is what the forecast said, Timmy and Dean were going to be in trouble with where they were fishing. If it's got more east, which is supposed to change 2 later in the day, but the area will already be, that foot of water, it moves incredibly fast overnight, but it's not going to move in an hour or 2 for those guys to be able to fish that area. That's a great map. You can see that bottom right-hand corner, that's where Timmy was, and when they were talking about yesterday, they thought they would be fine. You can see they're not fine.
No, absolutely exposed. Absolutely exposed.
If it had a tiny bit of west, it would be the only scenario that would be even worse than it is right now. But they, it's the worst direction that could come in there on him. Yeah, this is a shot from yesterday. A whole lot different things are looking there, and he's getting bites, obviously. Should have had another 20-plus pound bag, but it looks a lot different than that today.
And the long ride around, how much fishing time are you going to miss out on?
Oh, you're going to miss some.
Lose an hour. This is Tim Horton back live now, and that's a difference.
Different.
Look at that situation. Look at his pants blowing around.
Pants blowing around when you see those lily pads laid up.
Oh, gosh.
It's a different deal. It's a different deal.
And he said, I'm going to have to figure out a different deal today. I mean, cancel the pizza order. Got some work to do for now.
He's doing the absolute right thing. It's the only thing you can do. The problem is when you start thinking about guys that are as good as they are on Lake Okeechobee, or Chris Lane, just go right on down the list. Some guys that had bad tournaments that all of us thought were going to have great tournaments here, to just change to plan B and think you're going to go have the success, and, catch that 30-pound bag is a lot easier said than done. But there's nothing else you can do. You're at the mercy of Mother Nature. Nothing else you can do.
You see the rest of the field's kind of caught up with him here, but you got to think, if he can get a 15-pound limit like he did yesterday, it'd be in good shape.
Rojas has a limit, but they only go 5-12.
That dead stuff right there.
The shot of the water and Timmy and the wind yesterday, that was great stuff, but this time yesterday, Stephen Browning was in shorts and just his jersey.
Look at him.
He's still got his bibs on and a sweatshirt.
And Ott still got his shoes on.
And we're in Florida. They don't, yes, Ott still got his shoes on. He needs to take those shoes off.
Yeah,
he can handle it. He won't
can't
get
take them off
frostbite.
till the bibs come off. I disagree. I think that'd be a great look.
Guys who wear flip-flops with their rain suits on.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. He won't get frostbite. If it helps him catch fish like it has the last few days, he needs to take off the flip-flops.
Davey, I did a story about that. What's your opinion on footwear? Chris Lane said, no, I need a solid athletic tennis shoe. I'm athletic on the deck of my boat. And Casey Ashley, just one of the classics, says, no, I'm sandals, I can just run out of them.
I'm for comfort, and I usually wore athletic tennis shoes. That's sort of thing. Really, really cold, I'm gonna wear insulated boots. If it's hot, depending on, if I'm fishing offshore, dragging a Carolina rig or a drop shot, something like that, I might break out the flip-flops in the summertime,
Yeah.
But if I'm flipping heavy cover like so, I'm gonna have an athletic shoe on for sure. Some guys wear sandals or flip-flops in all temperatures because they wanna, feel the element. I'm warm-blooded. I'm not cold-blooded. I don't want to become one with my temperature around me. I want to stay comfortable. We've talked about it all week. To win an Elite Series tournament, you're going to have to earn it.
Oh, my God.
It never comes easy.
No.
It hasn't in years, it seems like. It's been a long time since somebody ate pizza at the dock.
Yeah, that was what they call an exception to the rule there, big time.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we have the list, the top 5 most recent double-digit victories, and I'm not going to go by time, but by weight. The 5 most recent by the biggest bags. So Chris Lane in 2014 when he won at St. John's, that was 14 pounds 4 ounces. That's the most recent, and that's the heaviest out of the 5. The event prior to that, Brett Hite at 2014 at Seminole, he won by 13 pounds even. So 2 in the same season there. 2012 here at Okeechobee, Ish Monroe won by 12 pounds, 12 ounces. 4th heaviest win in the last, the last 5 of the last 5 is 2012 with Brandon Polinick at Bull Shoals. Somebody said that on the guess, and they were correct. Not most recent, but certainly double digits, 11 pounds, 14 ounces. And then the classic with Edwin, 10 pounds, 5 ounces this year. So a lot more 5 since this last event, at least.
That's over 4 days. It's a dominating win when you win by 2 pounds a day, so that just shows how tight it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 2006, Mike McClellan won by 15-9 in the lead event, and Skeet Reese had a 14-9 margin of victory in Smith Mountain, 2010.
McClellan was Grand Lake, correct?
Yeah, McClellan was on Grand Lake.
Yeah.
See what my jig.
Got any places you want to try today, Wes?
I guess that was a no when you heard Wes go,
Yeah. Okay.
I do have a funny story to tell you though later.
Glad he didn't give him any information though. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Let's hope Wes knows that we're live with him right now. That'd be a good key piece of information right there as he starts to tell one of his stories.
All right. Come on, Bass. Jump on that.
And I said, well, I haven't fished any of this out here in these pads. I just fished up to right there every day and turned around, but I pitched right there and caught a 3-pounder, and I know they're bedding in this stuff, but.
It looks like Greg's fishing a jig, which he certainly loves to do. He's the only guy in the field that I've seen we've had on live that's fishing a jig, and instead of like Timmy and Dean using those tungsten sinkers and
Hopefully
soft
we
plastics.
Put a good limit together and pray for a couple big bites. Go from there, man. We just one of them things. I don't know. These fish, old north wind makes it a little tough.
Well, if the aim was to bring as much diversity to the schedule as you can, that's the way we started this year on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And my goodness, an Uplands Reservoir, clear water at Cherokee, up on the Holston River before it becomes the Tennessee River. A little bit different character to what's going on down here. An absolutely different scenario, different looking thing. Let's take a look at the results right there. 2 20-pound bags. No, one 20-pound bag over 4 days. Okeechobee 32 over 3 days. So as far as results, as far as the look of it, as far as the way it's fished, how it's fished through the day, couldn't be any more different than that. And to be the best in the world, you got to be able to handle both of those situations.
You do. One thing to point out there, primarily smallmouth at Lake Cherokee Lake. Excuse me, they say Cherokee Lake.
Is it Cherokee Lake? Okay. Yep.
So they obviously don't get to be 10, 12 pounds like these Lake Okeechobee largemouth. A longer growing season down here, both are great fisheries, but I think it's impressive to see guys that can go from fishing deep, clear water with finesse rigs, catching smallmouth. The very next event, they're South Florida flipping the deepest water on this whole lake is 10 feet, 11 feet deep or so. It just shows the diversity of these fishermen. I do seminars all over the country, talking to a lot of folks. Now you see more high school and college age kids, because the high school programs and the college programs you have all over the country, they come to these seminars, they're eager to learn, and they ask a lot of questions. And one of the questions I get asked is, how do I make myself a better angler? How can I do better? Be diverse. Don't just go fish your home lake. Don't just go fish like Cherokee Lake, like it's two different places. Don't go to Lake Okeechobee only. You need to be able to catch fish in deep water, shallow water, around vegetation, rock, just all these different things you need to be able to do if you're going to be an elite angler one day. And it's real important. There's a lot of great fishermen. There's some super fishermen in the Carolinas where I live that are tough to beat by. They would be tough to beat by any elite angler if they fish their home water. Try driving to California. You know, by the way, on your way back from California, stop by Tennessee, and then we're going to Florida next.
Yeah.
And then next week we're going to be in Houston for the class, kind of deal. It's a challenge.
And these guys, so many of them are up to it. I mean, we live in the age where guys who cut their teeth, fish their whole youth on Rayburn, can go up and win smallmouth tournaments up in the Northeast. It's just it's a remarkable level of talent we got out there.
Well, it even speaks to the group of anglers that fish the Elite Series. We talk about the comparison of 2012 here to this year. There's 32 20-pound bags we've seen through 3 days of competition, 32. And day 1 through 3 in 2012, there was only 23. So, and we've probably seen maybe 1 or 2 less 30-pound bags, but the quality of the fishery here has gotten better for sure, or these anglers are way better than we thought they were.
Yeah, in what was promoted as a way off year, down year. Just don't get your hopes up.
Well, you didn't believe those sandbaggers, did you, Tommy?
I do it every time. I'm such a sucker.
Well, and you think about all like you talk about the local studs that can maybe compete with the elite guys on their home fishery in a given week. We've seen all the Okeechobee events this year, BFLs and other local tournament trails with all the sticks in them, 200-plus boat tournaments, takes low 20s, 21, 23, like that. We see what the elites have done, in 3 days of practice and just grinding out there.
That's something I pay close attention to. The one-day events, typically when the elites come in town, what it takes to win a one-day event, these guys can catch 2, 3, maybe even 4 days. But you use that as a measuring bar for sure. But it's really surprised me, because you're right, Ronnie. The research that I did, it's been taking low 20s to win things, and that's not normal here. Normally it's the upper 20s and the 30-pound bags, which is what we've been seeing here this week by these elite anglers.
I was like, well, I could go out there and, catch me some. They were just all males. I mean, I weighed a couple of them, some of them were 3-pounders, but. So I was like, when you fish an area every day, you learn a lot about it. I know how the fishing pressure has been in here, I know the areas that I've put the most pressure on. Yeah, you kind of say, you kind of micromanage when you're the only one, when you don't have to deal with other competitors. And I'm watching them locals, I see how they fish, Yeah, just didn't have a chance. Like yesterday, I fished real slow and thorough because there was no wind, and I just didn't have time to fish it all, And of course today, I'm fishing a lot faster just because I can't help it,
Look how precise he's putting that jig in those holes in those pads. Hopefully we see us next.
But I wouldn't plan on staying in here all day, but I thought if I could leave here with one big one, and then we're gonna run some new, it's not really new, but it's kind of new water. It's where I caught 2 7-pounders the first day. It just didn't seem like there was a lot of fish there, and my plan was to come here on day 2, catch enough to make the 50 cut, and then go there. And I got in here and got to fishing and got to catching them so good, I just never could go, It ain't because I've saved that. It's just that, but I knew to have a shot at winning, it would have to produce. I'd spent enough time in here to know that I didn't think I could win in here, but I thought I could catch, this morning, 1 or 2 good ones, and then I wouldn't have to catch as many, you know what I'm saying? yeah, you know, get me started, and then that's it, finish it off. Because I knew I couldn't catch 30 pounds in here, but I thought I might catch the starting of it, you know.
What Greg's saying there, he had more bites in this area he's at. Thought he could catch some 3 to 5 pound fish, a couple to start, and have just, there's one. He's got a good one.
Don't come off. There for a second, I was like, man, maybe I just talked me one right into it. That's about the kind of fish I've been, you know, catching out here, but. Hung in them pads, I was like, could it be? That mythical beast?
So his plan is coming together, just a little slower than he thought.
Yeah.
He's got an area where he caught 2 7-pounders, but can't get many bites. Hopefully he will have 3 or 4 fish in his live well when he goes there.
He's rolling out a new way to display a fish too, to hold it up like a loaf of Wonder Bread. I like that. That's kind of cool. Now we switch from that other vegetation where they've been primarily to pads now, and that's a little bit different story. There's something down there that definitely attracts those spawning fish.
Absolutely. Two things here. He's farther back, like we talked about a little earlier. He's farther back in behind this stuff where the pads grow, and he said that a lot of fish he's targeting, he knows that they're spawning, and just like you were referring to, they spawn on those lily pad roots where they have the soft bottom that they can't make a nest on.
Certainly had one of our Elite Series events, probably more than one. One to start a year off with a guy catching them on pad roots. That was, of course, Mike McClellan.
Yep.
Up at the Harris chain.
That's surprising. You see that stat?
I missed it. I'm sorry. I was looking away.
Greg Hackney, 13 classics fished. 5th is the highest ever.
That's surprising as anything you could.
He's on that list of guys that are due for one.
Due
like
for
Aaron, you know, Edwin was on that list, removed his name last year. Now Edwin's due for an AOI, but yeah, Hackney's. It's shocking when you read that.
Lake Conroe will suit his style a lot more than a bunch of places we've been, though. You better watch. He might just smoke that stat in just a few weeks here at Lake Conroe. That's going to be a great tournament. It's going to be fun.
We even saw Hackney bust. I think he was 2nd or 3rd after day 1 at Hartwell a few years ago when it was really cold.
Yep.
He had close to 20 pounds, and that was you know, something people would say was out of his element. But you know, he showed that he can maybe put 2 or 3 days of that together for 2018.
Studio. What's the strategy now? What's going through your mind?
I'm just going to, you know, I know there's a bunch of fish in this area. I'm just try to catch me 5 of them. Maybe one of them will be a big one, then we're going to roll. If I catch 5 and none of them are big, we leave it, you know. But like I said, I need something before I go to that other area, so I won't be in a rush, you know. Just trying to catch enough out here to keep me
over the last couple of days, how many competitors have been in here with you in this general area?
Yesterday 1, the day before ended up being 3, I think. None of them caught anything. Well, one of them did. The one that was in here yesterday had caught sometime. He did not yesterday. 0. But there's plenty of competitors, just not.
That'd be great coming down here.
Yeah, everybody we see here put in right there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You mean Bowman didn't?
Oh, Bowman. I'm pretty sure Bowman didn't put in right there too. I mean, that's Roland's. You look at that silver roof. That's Roland's. Roland's Marina. I should say Mary Ann's. I don't think it belongs to Roland.
Okay.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say that. There you go.
His better half now, I think, stays in control of that.
always got to be around other competitors when you're in Florida, or you're not going to catch fish. Somehow Greg Hackney finds a way to get away from the other competitors. And he was saying there, I don't know if everyone called on, there's other people fishing and competitors, they're just not in the Elite Series tournament because he's right there at one of the most famous marinas in the world.
Within sight of
fishing.
Clewiston, Roland Martin Marina.
Steven has certainly changed up. The north wind has changed what he's doing.
Yeah, we got to do an over and under when he's going to catch a fish. That's the shocker of the day. Stephen Browning was catching them at will yesterday, virtually. Having so much trouble today, but everything is different today. That's the one thing that we can be absolutely certain about. We're going to have a result that maybe surprises us, maybe takes us back to where we started today. We just don't know. We're going to have to stay with it and watch it all. We got plenty more coming.
Continually proven on the tournament trail and with Skeeter owners everywhere with 14 consecutive NMMA CSI Consumer Satisfaction Awards. Our competition doesn't even come close. Right now, buy, save, fish with up to $1,500 in instant rebates through March 31st, including the newly redesigned limited edition FX series. Now is the best time to buy, save, fish. Skeeter.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Is this being in the moment? Is this hanging out? And is this really playing with your kid? Don't stop what you're doing to capture what you're doing. Keep running, keep playing, keep dancing. Just keep doing.
GoPro, start recording.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
Now for your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Think of a very interesting day on Lake Okeechobee, but this just in, there's going to be a classic in a month. Check it out, Houston, Texas, Lake Conroe, March 24th, 25th, and 26th. I'm going to take you down to Houston, Texas, the 4th largest city in the United States, one of the top sports towns in all the world, to bring the biggest event in fishing for you. We've got the best anglers lined up, a full field ready to go. The fire on Lake Conroe, which has shown out big time over the past decade. I mean, Lake Conroe is back, and if it ever went away, it is a strong place to hold this tournament. They're just about the right size for this group of anglers, and we're going to all discover more and more about it in the weeks to come right here on Bassmaster.com. So check it out every day. We'll have something new for you, and boy, when we get to Houston, Katie bar the door. That's what they say here. Browning on the left, still looking for his first keeper of the day. I'll look forward to seeing Greg Hackney fish today. James Overstreet, J.O., doing some great texting today. I got to read this one. He sent a picture, maybe one of his file photos of Hackney. This is a quote from Overstreet. In my time around Hackney/Vader,
that's him.
When he gets all wall-eyed, it's about to get serious.
He gets that way quite often.
Yes, yeah.
The cool thing, when I'm watching this, even when they're quiet and even when they're not catching fish, I'm thinking, what are they thinking? Because I've been there and I know that they've got stuff rolling around in mind. And Greg just talked about his plan coming into today. We've all got a plan, and he had one. But Mother Nature throws you a knuckleball almost every single day. You can't believe the weather forecast, although they got this one pretty much right, other than it's moved in a little earlier than I think was expected. You try to line everything up for your day, make it perfect, and if you get the bites and put them in the boat, it's going to be perfect, but it never seems to be that way. Let's listen to Greg here.
Oh, I was ready. I like the way this looks. And again, I've only
There's one.
He likes the way this looks.
I haven't fished this very much, so. We're gonna put the blue ball on him. Only thing worse than getting the blue ball is getting a black ball. That black ball on you. No good comes from it.
What? You know what I just mentioned about what's going on in his head when he does that? I wish I knew what he was thinking for sure.
Yeah, that's right. that's always kind of formidable.
Yeah. I think what he was referring to, I always had my color that the smallest one gets this color.
Yeah.
So when you look in there, and I'm pretty sure that's what he was referring to, that the black ball is even smaller than the blue ball.
We just call him a pounder.
If he's calling that a pounder, then he's officially right around 5.5 pounds in so far for Greg Hackney with 3 fish right now. But you're talking about plans. I mean, that's, plans are a constantly shifting thing, and today even more so, right?
Absolutely. A cold front is never good in springtime fishing, but it's times 10 on Lake Okeechobee. Because you don't think, those guys aren't bundled up in snowsuits, but you notice they've all got long pants and long sleeves on today, where the previous couple of days they were in shorts. And these Florida fish, 5-degree, 10-degree temperature change with a north wind changes everything. And the old saying, you never know what you don't know. Hackney right now thinks that he is really stinking it up, and Ott probably thinks he doesn't have a chance, and they have no idea how close they are. Just 1 or 2 good bites. They're going to be hard to come by today, though.
Yep. Going to have to be thinking ahead. It's a great philosopher, Mike Tyson. You always think of his words. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Absolutely. Great quote. The only great quote I remember from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I think that's right at the top of the list for sure.
But you don't have to have a lot of great quotes when you got a left hook like he's got.
No, quotes are secondary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there it is. See it up swimming now.
Now I've seen a Steve Bowman blog earlier talking about, the possibility of the wheels falling off, not saying Horton is down that route or anything, but wouldn't be the first time we've seen a Florida leader led after 3 days fall on the final day. We saw that with Snowden and at the Harris Chain in 2008. He zeroed on that final day, and McClellan came back and won, so.
This live coverage, it's oh, he just had a bite, he said.
See if you can get this one to bite here.
Yep. Watch his rod. He's trying to talk him into it. Just up and down in the same little spot.
Just read Overstreet's text about Hackney. There's Overstreet, a longtime Hackney observer, knows about as much of him as anybody. Our Triton on the line. We got the man for it. We got Street himself hooked up on the line. I don't know if we're going to see him, but we're going to hear him. J.O., can you hear us?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Doing great, man. It's awesome down here.
Absolutely. Hey, explain what you meant. That was a great text. When Hackney starts to get walleyed, things about to get real. What does walleyed mean in your view?
You know how a 10-pound bass has these really big eyeballs. He don't look like a regular bass. You know, when Hackney when he gets mad at him, he gets these big walleye eyeball look going on, man. And he had it this morning at the loft. I said, "Yo, Hackney, he's about to go get it done." So we'll see.
Watching what he's been going through the last hour there, a little bit of a slow start, but you know, he's great at letting us know what's going through his mind at all times. Is he sort of? Do you feel like he's getting it figured out bit by bit as he goes along here?
Chewing that gum, got them eyeballs bugged out. Yeah, you can tell he's liking it. But you know, man, we talked last night at dinner. I mean, this just feels like one of these, and you know, you can be wrong. I mean, but you just feel like this one could be set up for some last day, just some craziness, you know. So, I mean, Horton's down there struggling, you know. I mean, his water may be a little bit messed up, and this one could get pretty wild before it's over with. You know, Tommy, you remember when you and I and Zona were on Brian Snowden that year at Harris Chain? I mean, he had like a 9-pound lead or whatever that was, and he zeroed. And you and I witnessed a lot of that. It was brutal to watch, man. I mean, crazy things happen in Florida. You got all these big fish in here, and, you know, man, I just kept telling everybody I talked to last night, I said, man, we're going to have to be on our toes on this last day on this one, because this one is set up to get a little goofy on us on the last day. It makes it tough on us to make sure we're where we need to be, but it makes it fun to watch.
Yeah, that last day on the Harris Chain, I mean, it was a cold front coming in just like today, wind swapping around, and it was like a train wreck watching Brian lose those fish one after another. Just one of those days when everything that went wrong for him all 3 days was going in the opposite direction. Kind of like what Timmy Horton was talking about happened to him yesterday, yet he was able to salvage it and pull it out on that day. Boy, this kind of deal, it kind of reminds me of some of that, you know, with Brian Snowden. You know, you just never know in Florida. So he's got that big lead, but man, it can go away quick here. And I've really, let me say this, man, I've watched live more than I have, I guess, ever at a tournament, and how much I've enjoyed listening to Davey this week. Isn't that great, man? It's so much good stuff. I mean,
J.O., I got a quick question for you. Are you on the north end up around Okeechobee City, or are you down with the Bowman? You're on the north end?
I'm down here. Yeah, I'm up north.
You're up north? Is the wind blowing? Because we're watching Hackney down south, and it looks like it might be blowing 15 miles an hour or so. What's it blowing up on that north end?
No, I mean, what we're hearing is, you know, when everybody left up here, I think they got kind of fooled by the wind. They didn't think it was going to be that bad, and then they ran farther south. It just got worse and worse and worse. So, I mean, this is on the lee side of the wind. Obviously, up here on the north end, it's not near as bad. But man, the further you go down, it gets pretty tough down there on that end where Timmy and those guys are.
We've been talking about that this morning. I'm sure you've been out there and seen it. You leave that north end and you think, well, this is a little ripple. It's going to be fine. I'm going to run across the Big O, and you get about halfway across it, and it's ugly. And that looks like the scenario today.
We may be.
You break out in the open water. And, yeah.
Have a little trouble picking up J.O. here.
Still with me, Tom?
We could just hear him. He was breaking up. I think he's been there and done that. He's seen it. I heard him say when you get out there in that open water, which you can tell he's done it. It's truly amazing. If it hasn't happened to you, you're lucky. But I've had it happen to me. The first time it happened, I said, I'll never do that again. If it's even blowing 5 miles an hour, I'm not going to try to run across this lake if they're calling for the wind to be blowing a little bit today. And then I probably did it 2 or 3 more times in my career. It's unbelievable on that north end. Well, there you go. There's Stephen Brown, and you see all the lake behind you. It looks like a beautiful day there, doesn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Totally different. And Hackney is protected. He's back in behind this stuff more so than a lot of these other guys.
Yeah, he's halfway, in towards Roland Martin's there, so he's got a little bit of a buffer against the the changing and more persistent wind, it seems like, with each passing hour out here. So
the Brian Snowden tournaments you're talking about.
Oh my God!
And I've witnessed. I was in that tournament. It's tough, and you think, well, the fisherman, he did something wrong, but typically when these things happen, it's just like today. Instead of the story beginning with once upon a time, it's the wind was blowing out of the north.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the beginning of a Florida horror story.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The wind changed to the north.
Nightmare on Okeechobee Street.
Yeah, buddy.
And nobody wanted to see what happened to Brian Snowden if that tournament happened. And nobody wants to see Timmy Horton. Blake today.
No.
We want to see him catch 5 fish today. We, they may not be giants, but 5 fish is going to make it. At least we'll feel like we've gotten our money's worth.
Yeah, and let's keep saying we're not on just Browning and Hackney primarily because we like them or anything like that. Surely they're both great fishermen, and I do personally like them both, but we're having trouble keeping service with Timmy, number one, because he's moved around a little bit, and then the wind is giving a little trouble. But we're going to be with him as much as we can for sure.
And it could clear up. We may be on him, the next minute, and be on him for the rest of the day, and we may not see much of him throughout the day. We got guys with him though, and if they can get some phone service, we'll be up to date on what's going on with Tim Horton, and we're not giving up yet.
Ronnie's staying on top of the fish catches, though, whether we've got live service and able to watch him here on the screen or not. We keep up with how he's doing, how many fish he's got in the live well.
What's interesting so far, guys, is there's only 4 limits this morning. We talked about Lefebvre. Bobby Lane has about an 11-pound limit.
Right through that weed. Just
and then Dean and Fletcher. Fletcher Shryock and Dean Ross have a limit.
I'm like, damn, I'm fixing to fish through there. It's enough I got to deal with. Ah, they rats. How about 5? That was nice. Took us about 45 minutes. Dang. I knew he wasn't that big, but I couldn't, kind of caught me off kilter. I want to tell him, I got to catch him before he does. That's the only competitor I got. Look at him, got his quantum shirt on. Get a shot of there. Me and him, we're going head to head today. Oh, what?
Did you give him that shirt?
That's Little Greg. That's who that is. I'm Little Greg, bitch.
There's that laugh again. What he said was funny, but if you only knew what he was thinking.
This is the tournament within the tournament we're looking for here.
That's right.
Like Zona would say, and shot across his bow over there.
Believe you me, he came there for this.
It's me and him today.
Think he could outrun us to the next spot?
I don't know, but we're going to make sure when we leave, we're going to go where he can't catch us. Don't hit your trolling motor. Just sit still, man. Just sit still. I'm going to fish right there, but I don't want you blowing it with the trolling motor before I fish it.
So many times, spectators want to do everything they can to stay out of your way, and sometimes they just don't understand what you're doing.
See, if you just sat out there where you were fine. I could have got between you and the reeds.
That was a little better, wasn't it? Why was it 2?
Pound and a half.
Oh, was it?
The spectators, early on in my career, I've got a long story that I'll tell another time, another place, but I thought, geez, these guys, they're pulling for my competitors because they're trying to mess me up, and it took me a few years to figure that out, but that's absolutely not the case.
No.
they're your fans. They're out there. They're pulling for you. They didn't get out in this 20-mile-an-hour north wind for any other reason other than they're your fans, and they just don't realize maybe exactly what you're doing, what your plan is. We talked about Greg's got a plan. He's got a plan how he's going to fish this whole area, and those guys don't know the plan. And it just, you know, it's public water stuff you have to deal with on Sunday. And like Greg mentioned earlier, he's feeding his family.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
It's a different scenario, but the guys they don't mean any harm. 99.99% of them. They really don't. They just don't know the plan, don't know exactly how he wants to fish stuff. They just want to see him catch a fish.
Next question from a fan, a father-to-be. He says Greg Hackney is like a possum slinking around, lurking, trying to get in trouble, and becomes aggressive when cornered. How do you feel about that?
I don't even know where that comes from. I don't. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, isn't it time for him to be changing diapers or something today, or?
That question came from Zona.
Shouldn't he be warming a bottle?
Do you feel cornered and aggressive?
I do sometimes. I'm easily provoked.
There we go. Oh, that's Harrison Alexander.
Harrison Alexander.
Right there. That's
with a pink shirt on.
Describe our
Harrison Alexander.
colleague.
Miracle baby.
Animal terms.
Born today and already fears his father.
Already out,
Look at that face.
out to the
You know,
round ball
honestly,
game.
Dude got one of the biggest heads in the sport of bass fishing. I mean, it's a monster. Like every time I get a picture, it's almost like he's just blown his head up. You know, it's. I don't know. What would be an animal with a big head? Yeah. Yeah, but he'd have a short trunk.
The thing that you mentioned, Ron, short trunk. I'm not going to touch that.
All right now.
I heard him say something. I'm certainly not going to go there. Ronnie, you were saying earlier that the wind blowing was causing Greg to get hung more. That's part of it. He's the only guy pitching a jig. A jig's not going to come through that cover quite as good, and Greg knows that. There's a reason he's fishing that jig. The presentation, he's willing to sacrifice that profile for getting hung in those reeds a little bit more than you would with the tungsten sinker like we've been seeing Timmy Horton and Dean Rojas and a lot of these other guys flip.
Big ones, you know? I mean, like 7 bites, and they're all, you know, 4 to 11 3/4 pounds. Here's the first one. God dang it.
Boy, when you think you're going to put that first one in the boat and miss it.
How in the world? You can't steal that. I mean, that's what killed me. How in the world they get that off there?
Call him a jackwagon. I would.
Steve Wright wrote a blog on jackwagon saying it's an uncooperative fish.
Yep. How'd they get that cricket off that hook?
Do you agree, Davey? I don't know if he's sight fishing. It looks like he's sight fishing, but one of the coolest ways to catch him, sight fishing in Florida, just knowing that.
You know what that was?
3-pound fish could be a 7.
That's that 10-pounder.
Oh yeah, it's a cool way for sure. It's just tough to do on Lake Okeechobee. It's easier to sight fish almost everywhere else in Florida than that black bottom. So many places that dark,
I feel
dark
you.
bottom.
It was just picking it up off a bed and moving it off. So I'm gonna let her get back in there and get set back up. As I pull this knot out of my line. Come here.
Here's a question
That's
for
what
you.
I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying it was. Like a 10-13.
Hopefully he gets a bite right here on this pitch.
Right there.
Jason Williamson just got his limit with a 4-pounder to cap it off.
Wow.
We've only seen 2 fish today, or 2 or 3 fish over 4 pounds today. Uncharacteristic of the first 3 days so far.
I bet if you could have taken a survey of the 11 fishermen behind Tim Horton and said at 10 o'clock, if you, Octafo for instance, at 10 o'clock, if you've got 7 pounds, do you think you'll be within one
Probably jumped on him a little quick.
1 2-pounder of taking the lead?
I hopped it up, boy.
Absolutely not would have been his answer.
Well, I mean, I freaking
The favorite. Same deal. You got a chance to win with 1 decent fish. Take the lead, not win at 10 o'clock, but just guys that, even though we said anyone in the top 12 can win this thing, it's certainly going to come down to the shootout that not many people really thought would happen.
You always kind of scoff at people, says, I just don't want the lead. I don't want to start out the day with the lead. I'd rather be the pursuer. It's days like this that make people feel that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But all that said, Timmy's got to feel he's experienced enough down here to know that with this north wind, everybody's going to struggle a little bit. It's great to have that lead that he was able to add to yesterday by catching that good one right before weigh-in. Certainly helped him. So
Bobby Lane just made a move with a 4 and a 3.
Oh
He's
boy.
up to 15. Should be climbing up.
Greg hasn't moved his boat in 10 minutes, has he? That's why these fish are so hard to locate on such a vast amount of vegetation, the size of this lake. It's like Chris Lane said last night when I was talking to him, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, and you've got to look slowly. And you've only got a few days to get it all figured out.
There's only so much haystack you can digest in an hour's time.
Exactly.
It's him, wasn't it? I've grown up a lot. There was a time when I would have just, and you know, I ain't gonna say it's the camera, but it could be. Is the reason I didn't.
I pointed with that every couple of times.
I'm gonna fish a couple more of these little old heads scattered around here, and then it's getting time for us to go, you know. I just, it kind of, but yet different. I mean, it's just, it's not as far back as this area. No, I've only been there one day, and that was the first day.
Today, Tuesday, made a little stop in here. Caught a few smaller. But then again, you know, that could very easily could have been those buck bass, which they were. Trying to do a little courting. We call it back home. We call it courting.
Greg Hackney just mentioned I'm going to hit a couple of these heads in here before I leave to go to that area he's talking about with the bigger fish. For the viewers that maybe haven't ever been to Lake Okeechobee, what he's talking about is inside those pads, there's
there's clumps of those reeds, and that's where those fish really like to spawn. You'll see there's one off his left shoulder, his elbow, kind of right in there. That's the stuff where he really slows down like he was a few minutes ago and fishes for 5 or 10 minutes, being very thorough inside those places.
Getting close to our allotted time for the first half of our Bassmaster Live for today. Let's take a look at our Power Pole replay of the day here. What's that going to be? Check it out. Everything. It's going to be everything. All right. They just told me. Starting with Odd Defo.
Several times.
Got the frog working in the morning. He's done that every day.
A lot of fun and a quick flurry for Odd Defo right there. He's got 4 fish in the boat right there. The plan for Stephen Browning, get that first keeper in the boat. Man,
Jeez, I would have never guessed he'd struggle this morning. He's been catching a lot of fish, almost as many as Odd every morning. And then Cliff Prince on what is a bonus fish. He said he